Yes, people, welcome back to Chelsea Fan TV and GNA TV. I hope you guys are well wherever it is that you are across the world. Bank holiday looms around the corner. One more full day of work, and then we've got a long break with Friday and obviously Monday as well. Not too sure with Ben if he's going to be off as well. I don't know. We'll ask him in a second. But guys, big up to every single one of you guys, and let's get into things. There's a lot to talk about. Let's cue the intro. Yes, people, welcome back to GNA TV and Chelsea Fan TV for another Ben Jacobs show. I call it the Ben Jacobs show because it really is Ben Jacobs' show, this one, you know. Ben, long time no speak. How you been, mate, firstly?
Yeah, good to be back. Never a quiet day at Chelsea.
No, it's not never a quiet day at Chelsea, is it? Are you working over this bank holiday period as well, or is it going to be a chill?
I am indeed. I mean, it was actually Passover. So last night I was off and, of course, everything broke. And then when we get back towards the weekend, even though it's Easter and a lot of people are off, I will be covering the Wolves game and, of course, into a big Champions League week where I'll be across Chelsea. And I think both legs, actually, I'm down for. At CBS, we cover all of the games. The semi-finals do run concurrently. So I'll have to let you know based on how the first legs go as to where I am with the second leg. But definitely Chelsea against Real Madrid in Madrid is on my radar. And there's a bit of added spice all of a sudden, isn't there, with the two Everton rejects coming up against each other. We should be saying the two Chelsea legends, really, but Ancelotti is going to be very, very interesting.
I've not really logged it in my head, the whole announcement of Lampard, what I think, how I feel about it. To be honest, it's not really settled in. But before we start with Lampard, obviously that's the main topic today. I want to just quickly speak to you on Graham Potter, because obviously he had it hard, should we say. It's been very hard. And, you know, there was talks about the potentials that maybe some players had fell out in many ways with or not seeing the vision that he was pushing, moving forward. I was at games many times and I felt there was just a lack of energy, a lack of understanding from his side to sort of boost the team, boost the morale, make, tactical switches. I just felt watching him that it was just a little bit too much too soon for him, like the jump from where he was to obviously where we were, and the pressure of this football club as well. I mean, it's one of probably the hardest clubs in the world to manage, as we know from history. But what's your thoughts on obviously Chelsea's decision to sack Graham Potter?
Well, I think in hindsight, and as things come out, it's very easy to call it only a football problem. And when you look at Aston Villa in particular, it was kind of a microcosm for everything on the football side. They lost 2-0, they didn't score, there was a lack of leadership, there was strange selection, particularly with the back three that was fielded. Mason Mount didn't come on. Potter said in the build-up that Mudryk was effectively in a pre-season, and then he started him. And naturally, when you add all of that up, there's a lot of blame pinned upon the manager, and the fan base made their feelings known. And it's not the first time that people have questioned Graham Potter's tactics. By the same token, there's a lot going on behind the scenes at Chelsea. And I think it would be remiss to say now Potter's gone that it was only a football problem. We know that ultimately there was a spillover from the January window and so many signings coming in to the point where they couldn't even all fit in the training facilities at Cobham or into team meetings. And in addition to that, some of the things that have maybe got fans scratching their heads are not only down to Potter alone because of that word we keep hearing now, collaboration. So the decision, for example, to exclude Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang from a number of matchday squads and also the Champions League team was not only Potter, it was Potter plus ownership. So it'd be very easy to kind of have a disconnect now and say just because Potter's gone, the problems have as well. And certainly in terms of his authority, his ability to rise to the job, but also the model within which he was thrown, that aspect has been removed. But I honestly think it would have been difficult for a variety of people to do that. And this is why Chelsea are taking their time before they employ a new permanent manager. But in essence, my feeling with Graham Potter in hindsight is that it was a big job that he had to take towards the beginning of the season. From the word go, there were parts of the fan base that didn't think he was up to it. He lacked that bit of authority, and due to lots of different reasons, some on Potter, and others out of his control. There were constant issues in managing that dressing room. And I don't think, from what I'm told, that he fell out with any one particular player at any given time. It's normal that one or two will have different stories, as we saw with Tuchel, particularly those that aren't playing. Mason Mount or Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang might have one perspective compared to a few others that have been thrown into the side more regularly and given opportunities. But for me, the whole thing can be summarized by one story, which is relating to Hakim Ziyech. And straight after he nearly went to PSG, and PSG say that Chelsea basically mismanaged the situation. Chelsea said it was down to a technical glitch, but on the final day of the window, Ziyech was minutes away. And all week, Chelsea prepared without Ziyech. They knew he was going, I'm told, 72 hours before. And even though you hear some stories that he had no permission to go to Paris when he did, everyone was on board that if the right offer came in, then he would be allowed to leave. And it didn't happen. So Chelsea prepared for that game against Fulham, and Ziyech's not part of any of the run-throughs in terms of the starting 11 versus another 11 or the tactical side. And then, of course, he comes back and he's straight in the starting lineup, and he doesn't play well, and Chelsea don't win the game. And against Tottenham as well, when he almost got sent off and then didn't, and then carried on the field. These are things that feel like Graham Potter was perhaps trying to pacify rather than manage. And with such a big squad, you can understand how challenging it is. But obviously, players are about loyalty and they wear their heart on their sleeve. Everyone wants to play, and all they really ask from a manager is consistency. And if you've got this many injuries, this big a squad, and you're stepping up in job, there's all kinds of reasons why you don't get that consistency. So we're going to hear different stories, some from the Potter side, some from the Chelsea side, some specifically from the owner's side. But in essence, he had no authority or consistency with the way tactically he was actually managing games. And as a result, when the results don't come doing that, your time is always going to be up. And then it got to the final game for him in the end against Aston Villa. And there was some talks towards the end of Saturday night, but really more in Sunday morning. And originally, people in the room and also within the Chelsea hierarchy were adamant that he would get Liverpool. And I think a complication in all of this is that Todd Boehly wasn't there. He was in America. So there was a sleep on it element from what I'm told. And when certain members within the decision-making at Chelsea woke up and senior to the hierarchy, so directly involved in the decision, they were still, even though we'll hear this word unanimous, undecided. Not necessarily on Potter and long-term, but is it Potter and Liverpool? Is it Potter and end of the season? Or is it Potter now? And you've got one co-owner in America, you've got another co-owner in London, but in Behdad Eghbali, who's exerting all of the control and power and always has done really for quite some time. So is Boehly as well. And we can sort of delve into that dynamic. Yeah. But they're your key two decision makers. And Eghbali in London has sort of pinned himself now, as you would expect in this kind of team, to his football brains and experts, which weren't around when Graham Potter was first hired. So by Sunday morning, there was this sort of London movement towards acting sooner in case there was this possibility of getting an appointment in place for Real Madrid versus perhaps other members of the board that were not directly there, or somebody like Boehly that wasn't even in the country. And I think that it needed that time difference to catch up for everybody to get up and on the same page. And then by about 1 o'clock, there was growing clarity that they were actually going to make a quicker move than originally they'd decided come the evening after the Villa loss. And then by about 3 o'clock, or certainly mid-afternoon, Potter was informed. And then, of course, from there, it was all just about finding the right wording and finding the right handover. But Bruno was, of course, only game by game. So it was normal that they would assess then Liverpool, because they were planning for Potter to manage that originally and then decide whether or not he was comfortable, which he wasn't, he was up for it, which he wasn't, or regardless of what he thought, whether or not they needed someone with a bit more experience. And that's ultimately when the wheels got put in motion for Frank Lampard, which is where we are today.
And that's where we're going to go to next to as well, because obviously he had his first press conference. It was announced by the club itself on a statement on the website officially that Lampard will be the caretaker manager till the end of the season. There was a little, when Potter got sacked, there was a lots of talks around from the likes of Ormston, not specifically for Fabrizio Romano, that this could be quite an exhaustive period in terms of picking the right, next manager for the module and structure that Chelsea are trying to move forward in. And obviously there was talks about Julian Nagelsmann and Luis Enrique and a couple others as well, which obviously we're going to get into after we spoke a bit about Frank Lampard, but kind of links to it slightly because, it felt like you're getting that comment, which means, are we going to be stuck with Bruno and they're going to bring in an Enrique or someone like that Nagelsmann, who's our sort of preferred choice moving forward long term now for the Madrid game? Or they go and do what they did now. And it just feels like they've kind of gone one way and then just dropped the other. And it's now like, well, actually, we're going to go with Frank Lampard, maybe because they feel there may be more options. Maybe they need a bit more time going into the summer window to see who's available and whatever else. But in terms of the appointment of Frank Lampard, I would say it's overly surprising. He was at the last game round as well, which was unusual because he hasn't been going to many Chelsea games of recent. What are your thoughts of that appointment and the decision to the owners to do that rather than go for the preferred choice now?
Yeah, just on Potter before we come on to Lampard, because you always see it in the chat and on social media, and briefly, of course, but I always will respond and engage and explain. You get a lot of stick as a journalist when something changes. And of course, myself on that morning when Potter was sacked, relayed information, which was the expectation was that he'll be in charge for Liverpool. In fact, he will lead the Liverpool game. And then obviously when something changes, you get a lot of criticism, like somehow you've provided false information when it isn't, because that is the narrative. And I think if something can change or be undecided or undetermined or U-turned by club hierarchy, as a journalist, you have a responsibility to paint that narrative. Of course, someone's going to then take it out of context 7-8 hours later and retweet it as if it's 7 p.m. instead of 11 a.m. But the point in all of this is you're always going to hear unanimous in hindsight, but there was not a clear sense of when Chelsea would move on Potter, including from senior members of the club hierarchy in the morning that he was sacked. And I think as a journalist, you report that. And that's not me making excuses. It's me saying I'm not a believer in rewriting or deleting or hiding from people that have those questions. But you have to understand that we're not the ones making the decisions. So if a source directly in the room says this is where we're at and that changes, then that's the narrative and it adds to the intrigue in the same way that others said Chelsea wanted an immediate manager. They were trying to work as fast as they can. And I've obviously been saying for weeks, really, that they were trying to back Potter. And then since he left, it would be thorough and exhaustive. And what were the two words used in Chelsea's statement when they announced Frank Lampard? They're looking for a manager in an exhaustive and thorough process. So you can see how the narrative sometimes switches. There were those out there that thought that somehow Luis Enrique or Julian Nagelsmann would come in and Chelsea wanted to take their time. So this wasn't about finding someone permanently for Real if the perfect candidate wasn't available. And they're looking at lots of options. And I think people always like to pick out a word that's been said or a story that was accurate at the time and then changed and kind of attack. And you see it in the chat. But that is ultimately the narrative. And it adds, I think, to the intrigue that they didn't know exactly what they were doing, which is why I said Liverpool, which is why David Ornstein said Liverpool, which is why other people said Liverpool, which is why the players were shocked, which is why the media team invited the press conference for specifically Potter, which was now Salter. And ultimately, that is just how things change. But coming back to Lampard today, I think that he spoke very well. He made sure that he started with a very clear brief, which is the title's caretaker. And I think that he was smart to sort of dodge the comparison between himself and Roberto Di Matteo in the sense of what if I do well, could I stay? Because it's absolutely obvious that Chelsea are moving fast and concurrent with Lampard's caretaker spell to try and fix upon a permanent candidate. So really only if they got right towards the end of the season and Lampard did something exceptional and they still hadn't decided who they wanted, would he realistically be in the frame for the permanent manager's job. And as a result, I think that it's very smart because he has that affinity with Chelsea. He's far more experienced than Bruno Solter. You could have made an argument that if they couldn't find a permanent manager, you could have stuck with Potter until the end of the season. But it's always a danger when you know a manager's outgoing that you get a mood of resignation, whereas Lampard gives Cobham a kick and has that fresh perspective. So he might get them going. And I think that all of this can benefit Chelsea in terms of trying to get some form of European football, which might not excite the fan base, but is still important financially speaking. And on top of that, the outside chance of a miracle Champions League run that might see Chelsea actually win the tournament and qualify for Champions League football as a result next season. It's a huge, huge ask, but it just adds that little bit of spice and intrigue because there's still naturally plenty to play for in that game against Real Madrid. And then I think what Lampard will do and has already done is just make a few little tweaks in order to get the best out of particularly Chelsea's goal scorers or stalwarts that have been at the club for a little bit longer. And that's where I think we're going to see a bit more Mason Mount. And I also believe that from an attacking point of view, he'll have a few ideas of how to finally get those floodgates to open. So this is all very positive for me because this isn't Lampard or Nagelsmann or Lampard or Luis Enrique Martinez or Lampard or Mauricio Pochettino. This is Chelsea not having a candidate yet because they only sacked Graham Potter 3 days ago and not wanting to rush a process even with Real in mind. And they've obviously determined that either the candidates they like so far aren't willing to take it immediately, or they are in some cases, but they've not gone through their process. So it's either you stick with Bruno Solter, very uncomfortable in the role, very much a remnant of the Potter era, and only ever picked his first 11 in that 0-0 draw with Liverpool, and almost looked a bit embarrassed in some ways to be in the role because he knows that he's part of the problem and the Potter era and is basically just filling in on a game-by-game basis. So it's either him or Lampard, or you could argue Brendan Rodgers or anyone else you can get, but Chelsea have to move fast. So you got name number one that's only ever picked one starting 11, that's never managed in the Premier League, that's been part of the old culture and the bad run that Chelsea are on, that has zero experience at the top level in this type of role. And you got option number two that's largely popular with the fan base, that's been Chelsea manager and a Chelsea legend before, that has managed in the Champions League, that has worked with a variety of these players before, that knows Carlo Ancelotti, which might be a little bit of intel and information, and is part of the furniture at the club. And I think that if you only look at the choice between Solter or Lampard, regardless of what you think of Lampard, it's a complete no-brainer.
100%. I think the decision to appoint Lampard for this let's say shorter period, but period to the end of the season, does kind of make sense. I know the fan base itself against divided on opinion. It's some not too happy with it, and I'm thinking that the board ain't taking it serious because they're not bringing in an Nagelsmann or an Enrique when we're still in the Champions League and we've got an opportunity to win something there. Others feel like it's a sensible thing to do, not to rush, wait to the summer and evaluate it from there. I don't see Lampard long term, don't get me wrong. I don't think that will be the case, not in terms of what we want to do moving forward. But then again, ideally, it does depend on the availabilities of the ones that we do want. And obviously, we're being told that Nagelsmann is potentially going to be linked to Real Madrid, providing Ancelotti leaves in the summer. And, talks there may happen as well. And Enrique has been at Chelsea, I think, yesterday and had discussions there and selling the project as well. And that really goes on to my real next question with it. Obviously, going into the summer, we're going to be very busy in looking at managers. Obviously, Nagelsmann and Enrique are two that sort of have stood out the most. Obviously, things can change in the summer because some managers then leave others, and then it gives you more of a variety in terms of options and stuff. Do you think that might be why Chelsea are waiting till the summer window for that? And who do you feel, up to this point, who do you feel may be a bit more of a front runner?
I mean, Chelsea are not waiting. That's the first thing to say. We're 3 days since Potter got sacked, and they've already had a face-to-face with Luis Enrique. They've made contact with Julian Nagelsmann and a variety of other candidates on a shortlist of 5 to 7. And from the very word go, these words exhaustive and thorough were used. But I think because people saw Enrique in London, or because everybody knows about the links between Lawrence Stewart and Christopher Vivell and Julian Nagelsmann, and with Real, I think everybody put 2 and 2 together and felt like Chelsea wanted to appoint immediately. But honestly, that's not what Chelsea have ever said. Even the day after Potter was sacked, my sources were saying exhaustive search, thorough process. Look at the wording from Behrad Eghbali and Todd Boehly in their statement today. It specifically says exhaustive and thorough. Now, you're always going to say that. You're never going to say, we were in a rush because we wanted to try and find someone before Real Madrid, so we picked the first available name and that was that.
Yeah,
but
rushed.
This isn't only about Chelsea. This is also about the managers and whether or not they want to come in. And you can argue it both ways. Some managers are kind of narcissistic enough and ambitious enough, and they may know that Chelsea might not have Champions League football next season. That's the likely scenario, and say, okay, I want to come now, so that game against Real is in my control. But for others, they may see risk in that because they've got to pick their 11 with a massive squad. They've got to walk straight in now with no time to get to know people. So the gap between now and next season is not the same as a pre-season. A pre-season, you can meet everyone, you can team bond, you can develop personal and professional relationships, you can hold training sessions, practice games. Nobody cares if they play in a game and then don't play in the next one. It's part of pre-season. You have to take a considered look at everybody without giving away your hand. Whereas if a new manager comes in and starts against Real, of course, you could argue Julian Nagelsmann would love the chance to beat Real and then somehow come up potentially against Bayern and get one over them and win the Champions League. But a permanent manager could come in and blow it against Real, and the fan base could say, uh-oh, we rushed the appointment, we should have gone for someone else. The players can say, oh, he picked that 11 and we're not happy about it. And it can all feel rushed on both sides. And then, as you rightly say, you have that scenario whereby certain managers will know there's other jobs available, so abiding their time, because almost certainly all of these names, if they do their due diligence, won't only be talking to Chelsea. Just because Chelsea met Luis Enrique Martinez yesterday, it doesn't mean that other clubs are not going to reach out as well. And everyone talks about Chelsea getting a jump. You can get a jump on the process of shortlisting and determining who you want. But in essence, if you make an offer to Julian Nagelsmann and he thinks there's going to be another role that he quite fancies, he'll use that as leverage, which is why a lot of these names are waiting until the end of the season. So what we know at the moment is that Julian Nagelsmann, Luis Enrique are both what can be considered front runners in what might still be a process that lasts quite some time. We're certainly talking about a week or two now to progress it further rather than a day or two. And then on top of that, there'll be other names that come into the mix. And not every name will necessarily be an out-and-out serious contender. But what you will see, because of the first appointment of Potter under this new ownership group, where they only interviewed Pochettino and had a cursory chat with Ruben Amorim, they want to make sure that even if they think they know who they want, they've spoken to others. So they'll be looking, therefore, to speak to someone with Premier League experience. They'll be looking to speak to a young manager. They'll be looking to speak to somebody who is very accustomed to playing in Champions League football. And some of the names tick multiple boxes, but they want to make sure that at the end of this, they can say, even after we spoke to perhaps more people than we need to, we still fix upon the same name. And the whole point of Lawrence Stewart and Paul Winstanley and Todd Boehly and Behrad Eghbali, and the latter two will be side players in the earlier stages, is you're supposed to have the freedom to challenge. You're supposed to have the freedom to debate. So you will hear in hindsight unanimous, much like with Potter, but you need that ability to challenge. Otherwise, if everyone's just a yes man or woman, then you get a scenario where it's autonomous ownership. And in essence, it would be Behrad Eghbali and or Todd Boehly always calling the shots. And it is interesting, even with Lampard, that we hear Paul and Lawrence, but we also hear Beardag really wanted Lampard. And we hear Julian Nagelsmann in the context of Vivell or Stewart, but we also hear from sources that Beardag Eghbali really wants Julian Nagelsmann. So there's definitely a evolving dynamic within which Eghbali has always had a lot of say and a lot of power and a lot of control, as you would expect from a majority owner. But of course, we've gone through the last 7-8 months, or some people have, thinking about Todd Boehly as the face, thinking about sporting directors in more traditional roles, dealing with recruitment, when actually, if you connect anything that's happened at the football club, why was Thomas Tuchel sacked? Well, one theory, as I reported at the time, is because he clashed with Beardag Eghbali. Yeah. Why do Chelsea want a multi-club model? Because Beardag Eghbali thinks that that's how you make things sustainable from a financial point of view. Why do they want co-sporting directors and the transfer committee? Because they want it to feed up to the ownership group. When they negotiated for Mikhailo Mudryk, who was the one leading on it? Beardag Eghbali. When they got Enzo Fernandez, who was the one leading on it? Beardag Eghbali. So there's a pattern in all of this that always leads back to Eghbali, which in essence is not a shocking point. He's paid with the rest of the ownership group over 4 billion. He's the majority owner. Of course, you would expect him to have an involvement. But obviously, when Boehly does things, and especially historically, you could say, well, he's doing them because he's the sporting director, or he's doing them now because he's the chairman. But because Eghbali doesn't hold a title beyond majority owner or co-controlling owner as it's known, then we can just put this down to hands-on. And in many ways, that can be seen to be refreshing to have an owner that involved. But obviously, in the context of Potter, in the context of recruitment, involved means watching directly over. Involved means turning up at Cobham. Involved means speaking to players. Involved means wanting to know what goes on in football meetings. Involved means wanting to be the negotiator in deals. Involved means wanting to pick the clubs that build the multi-club model. That is just what an owner does, but every owner ultimately has a say to a differing degree. So this is why it's going to be very important now for Chelsea. Can they stabilize the backroom workflow whereby everybody's opinion is valid and there's the freedom to challenge and debate? Because then the experts shine and Chelsea will make the right decisions, including with the new manager. Or are we in a more autonomous ownership group whereby Eghbali and Boehly will ultimately call all of the final shots? And if they do so, then they're learning on the job, which is why I think Chelsea have been through such a phase of flux and transition. And if they learn well, then the second type of ownership, much like with Abramovich and Marina and Bruce Buck, it's not a disaster, but they have to learn and make the right decisions. But I think they're going in the other direction where they want this decision by numbers. They want this freedom to challenge. And if you get that, it's going to take time to unanimously, in inverted commas, pick the right candidate. But it is clear that at the moment, Nagelsmann and Enrique can be accurately termed as the two frontrunners.
And it goes back to, obviously, the second of Thomas Tuchel. When they made that decision, they literally had no team behind them. That was probably a raw decision between Boehly and Eghbali to make the decision to get rid of him. And then it was like, right, where do we go to next? Obviously, that's when Graham Potter came along and they made the decision to give him quite a lengthy contract and whatever else. And, you look at it in hindsight from then to now. And obviously, I think the difference will be going into the search is, like you said, they've got a team now with Vivell and Lawrence and Winstanley all behind now who will give them that, give them that knowledge. I don't honestly think that Todd Boehly and Eghbali, even though Nagelsmann is, really. I'll be honest with you. I think this is where they're going to rely on what's around them to really explain to them and give them a heads up on what, the type of managers that are available and if it fits the model, because again, we have a model, we have a project, we have an idea of what we want to do, but it's finding that right one. And obviously there's talks about Chelsea wanting more of an experienced manager. And there's a lot of people saying Jose Mourinho in the chat as well and whatever else. I mean, Enrique, I think, out of all the names, is quite experienced in terms of what he's won as well. So I think it's just going to be really interesting to see who they feel fits the model of what we want to do. When you look at Nagelsmann, as young as he is, I think he actually fits the model in what we're trying to do moving forward. And when you look at the setup and the Red Bull setup and how they were, I think, and obviously him coming from there, I'd actually think that him coming to Chelsea would probably suit the model better than others, than maybe like an Enrique and other people. But I don't know. Who knows with Chelsea?
Right. I think you're right. I think it also just depends on, again, coming back to what I said before about the dynamic, does the model change? So before the recruitment team was built, they had one idea, they made their appointment, they brought in Potter. The whole point of Potter was not only on the football side, they wanted somebody who would fit within their strategy and be a personality fit as well, because that was one of the problems with Thomas Tuchel. Two sides to every story. Tuchel's perspective, he said it in his unveiling at Bayern, was he's easy to get on with. But I don't think that the ownership group at Chelsea felt that he was collaborative enough, whether rightly or wrongly. And therein lies the two sides of the story. So Tuchel's not a strategic fit. Then they get Potter, who is definitely the type of character they were looking for and a strategic fit, and had a recruitment expert in Kyle McCauley, who's still at Chelsea for now anyway, as I reported a couple of days ago. And it allowed them to function on the non-football side. But of course, over time, what we saw is question marks over Potter on the football side. And now they've brought in group experts. They've got a lot of recruitment experts and strategists. And they realize almost in a full U-turn, which is why some fans are saying, why on earth did we get rid of Thomas Tuchel, that they need a coach that is elite and has been in this position before and has managed big dressing rooms and can get the best out of the players and has authority and can give them a kick up the arse if he needs to. And obviously, if Thomas Tuchel was not previous Chelsea manager with previous history with this ownership group, he would probably be a candidate right now. And with Lampard, I think it's the same kind of thing where, okay, you can make arguments about Lampard's managerial pedigree, but regardless, the sort of cheat code that Lampard has got is just the fact that he's walking into a dressing room that will instantly respect him, instantly want to play for him, and realize that the last time he was at Chelsea, he was under very difficult circumstances because there was that transfer embargo. And the weird thing about Lampard is everyone kind of derides the Everton thing, and not every Chelsea fan feels like he was the greatest manager on the planet during his permanent spell. But in essence, I think shortly before he was sacked, correct me if I'm wrong, Chelsea were top of the Premier League, I think in the December. And then obviously with the Champions League in the first season, he went out to Bayern. There's no disgrace in that, even though Chelsea were well beaten. The second season when he was sacked, and you have to obviously give Tuchel the credit here, but Lampard paved the way, and then Tuchel ended up at the business end winning Chelsea the Champions League. So you can look at his level of experience and say, okay, Potter has more managerial experience actually than Frank Lampard, but Lampard's got more Chelsea experience than Graham Potter. He's got more dressing room experience with these players to handle them. Because you walk in there and he'll get a kick out of Mount, he'll get a kick out of Sterling. There'll be no problem with people that are at the older end of either their Chelsea tenure or age-wise. There's no way any of those midfielders that have been in and out of the side or injured or hit and miss are going to be not wanting to learn from and play for and die for Frank Lampard. And then up front, you're going to have no problem in terms of him and Mudryk. Let's not forget, by the way, that when Mudryk was available a lot cheaper for about 40 to 45 million euros, it was Lampard and Everton pushing for Mudryk, and they made an approach along with Brentford, but the valuation wasn't met. So that's even a player that Lampard appreciates and may be able to get the best out of. So there's a lot to like in the short term, other than maybe the argument that it's just a stopgap and what's coming next. And what if we go out the Champions League? Are they not just relatively meaningless games? And where are Chelsea going to finish this season? But like I said before, if you can't find the right name due to either decision-making or time, or the manager you want saying he will not start, and it's non-negotiable until the beginning of next season, you've got three choices. Keep Potter, and they didn't want to do that. Keep Bruno Salter, and they didn't want to do that. Or bring back a club legend.
And yeah, I mean, you've said to be articulated very well, as you always do, to be fair, and it makes a lot of sense. And I think, a lot of people were saying that they agree with the views and what you said in the chat as well. And I agree. I think we've got a lot of young players in there, Madueke's, Mudryk's, Enzo Fernandez, who's still, even though he's, in my opinion, been great, still learning the league. You know, there's a lot of players there that need a little bit of guidance, and why not Frank Lampard for for a short period going into these big games against Real Madrid and stuff as well. So it's going to be interesting, is what I say. It's going to be really interesting to see where Chelsea move on the pitch now that he's in control tactically, and how he sets us up and stuff like that, which is going to be intriguing. And obviously off the pitch with the managers as well. Someone did ask a question saying, can a manager long term still be appointed before the end of the season? Obviously that could happen, but I don't think it will it?
No, I mean, Lampard's not there on game by game, so he's taken the job knowing on the downside he's not really under consideration for the full-time job, but also on the upside, there's that security that he's going to be able to see the season out. And it'd be very unfair on Lampard if they give him the Real Madrid game and he wins that, and then another manager comes in and says, I quite fancy a crack now at a Champions League semi-final or final. So it'll be Lampard until the end of the season. And we can read into that a variety of things. Chelsea haven't got enough time to do the full process, or Chelsea have got a candidate in mind, but they're not prepared to start until next season. And I think that we'll still see Chelsea move pretty quick on the manager front, because if they haven't determined a candidate yet, that's where they will want to try and lock somebody in for stability and transition, but also because, as you said before, they're well aware that other jobs may become available. Right now, Real are not recruiting because Ancelotti's there, but the expectation is that that will be a gig. Christophe Gaultier is trying to get over the line with Ligue 1, but again, the expectation is that's another one that will become available. So you suddenly have two gigs that have managers in them that are both highly likely to be outgoing. And if you look at Nagelsmann, Luis Enrique, or even arguably somebody like Jose Mourinho, if he was to leave Roma, I think a Chelsea return is very unlikely, but you just never know. And obviously Mauricio Pochettino, we know, can't go back to PSG, but could absolutely go to Real Madrid, and a Tottenham return is something that can't be ruled out either. So these type of other jobs will come, but Chelsea might be able to get a jump in terms of pitching their case and trying to get a signature in place before a candidate that they think they've got is ultimately hijacked by another club. But in essence, these managers are not stupid either. So if any manager thinks they're going to get a Real job, a PSG job, a Spurs job, and that's what they want, just because Chelsea offer the job tomorrow, next week, next month, the manager's not just going to say, okay, you were the first one to offer it. They're going to use the Chelsea offer leverage to try and get an answer out of another club. So it's good to start this process and be thorough. So at the end of the season, everyone knows where Chelsea stand as early as possible. And that helps with your recruitment targets and your negotiating and basically just all of your pre-season. But I don't think it makes a massive difference in terms of if Nagelsmann wants PSG or Real Madrid, then in essence, if Chelsea offer it first, that's still the club, if he's the preferred choice, that he'll end up at, rather than Chelsea and vice versa.
And that could be the case of him being announced prior to the summer. It might be a late season announcement that Chelsea have tied down their new manager for the summer. You know, I don't know, and that's something that could happen as well. But Ben, I know you have to shoot, mate, because you've got to be other places and as busy as always. It's been good to have you on as always. Any last sort of words, final words that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, just a little bit of information. I'm sure a lot of people are asking about Bruno Salter and also about Lampard's coaching staff. He swerved the question on the coaching staff in the press conference, as you would expect from Frank Lampard. It's not because he was trying to hide anything. It's just a slightly fluid situation at the moment, which is why nothing was announced in the statement. So as I understand it, Ashley Cole, Joe Edwards and Chris Jones are definites. There's no problem with bringing them in. And then there's been a question mark and very mixed reports over Paul Clement. And that would be very interesting because, of course, Carlo Ancelotti's ex-number 2, which adds even more spice to the Real Madrid game. And my understanding was that, as of this morning anyway, into the press conference, was not done. So that doesn't mean that there isn't a hope it will get done, but clearly there's still some moving pieces for whatever reason. So I think we can safely say at the moment that Ashley Cole, Joe Edwards and Chris Jones will be there. But with Paul, I think it's still a question mark. I'm not saying that won't happen or that it's definite just that's the one that is seemingly the moving piece, and it's why there's been no announcement yet as to the coaching staff. So maybe we'll get clarity on that over the course of either the day or by tomorrow. And then the other factor in all of this is just what happens to any spillover from Potter's staff. And again, there doesn't look like, not officially anyway, there's going to be too much indication on that today. I think everyone's just working on the assumption that Bruno Salter and anybody else that overlaps with an incoming member of coaching staff, if they were affiliated to Potter, will be gone, and that the collaboration element or the smooth transition in the statement when Potter was sacked, it was really just about saying the coaches are staying on for now. But we're going to have to wait and see, because there's some people that might want to leave. There's some people that might want to stay. There's some that might want to hang around under Lampard and see what the new manager thinks. You've got someone like Kyle McCauley as well on the recruitment side, who's basically Potter's personal assistant. Potter's out of work. He's on a 5-year contract at Chelsea. What does he do? Is the preference to leave now? Is the preference to wait and see where Potter ends up next? Or is the preference to redefine himself and kind of morph into Chelsea's recruitment team? But of course, if a new manager then comes in and has his own personal recruitment specialist, then you've got an issue. So there's a lot of moving parts. So for now, as I reported, even though it's absolutely true that there's a possibility for sure that Paul is another one in the coaching staff, Cole, Edwards, Jones are the ones that we've got a really clear sense on at this point. And then we wait and see on Paul, and also maybe tomorrow, but the club are a little bit coy in terms of sources I'm talking to about putting a timescale on it. We might get a bit more clarity over Bruno Salter. And you would think logically that he would just go along with Graham Potter, but let's see, because it was a game-by-game contract. So one wonders what they're going to do with that, if they're going to offer any kind of thank you payoff, if they're going to try and keep him on in some capacity in a transitional sense, at least for the Wolves game, because he's obviously been aware of the preparation for that. These are things that are still up in the air at this point, and as soon as I know more, I will let you know.
Sounds good. Well, you guys know where to find Ben Jacobs. Is on Twitter, and it's literally his name there as well, at Jacobs Ben, isn't it? Is it at Jacobs Ben? It is, yeah. It's the other way around.
Ben, yeah.
Yeah, so you can always go and check him out on Twitter. He'll keep you updated on any more Chelsea news as well as we move forward. And we'll have Ben back as we do. And I'm pretty sure he'll be happy to join me as well and do some more shows moving forward, Ben. But thanks for your time again, Ben, as always, mate. I appreciate it. Always do.
Yeah, always a pleasure. Good luck against Wolves, everyone, and have a good day.
Take care. See you later. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Guys, there you go. What do I say, eh? What do we say? Obviously, we know that the backroom staff and what we've been told, Ashley Cole, Clements is another one as well that will be joining Lampard. Bruno Salter's up in the air. We don't know if they're going to make a decision on that as of yet, whether he leaves or stays or goes. We have to wait and see. In terms of the summer window, you know, we may rush to a point before. We may wait till the beginning of summer. We may, I don't know. And it seems again that it all seems to be more up in the air. However, what I do like with Ben is he always seems to bring some sort of understanding and clarity to the situation. And again, that's what we need, I think, moving forward as well, you know. I have sent the link into the panel. The link's sent to them if they want to join. I did say we'll go for another little bit more. Got an itchy tattoo at the moment, which doesn't help. But I'd like to hear what you guys have got to say in the chat. Obviously, you heard a lot in terms of what he said. Lampard is now the new Chelsea caretaker manager. How do you guys feel about the appointment on that? I could put the link in the chat as well, I guess. Why not? I haven't done that in a while. There we go. Link in the chat as well for you guys. If you want to join, please do. I know Matty's saying he wants to jump in, so let's get him in. Come over, have your say. Let's talk about Lampard. Let's talk about the rest of the season. Let's talk about Mason Mount, the potential of Mason Mount returning into the squad now. Hasn't played a lot of football. What will Lampard do tactically? What will Lampard do tactically with Chelsea? How will he set us up? Now he has, when you look at what he had then, what he has now, Lampard, you could probably say there's more quality in the team now. Matty's joining us. Matty, what are you saying, mate?
Hey, Frank's back, man. I mean, like, there's literally, I've made this clear, there's no point in this. my logic is you sack Graham Potter, great, clap my hands. Go get that man for the long term. This interim manager is a PR stunt. Clear PR stunt. And for me, I don't drop my stands with this club. I expect us to keep winning the games. Lampard is not going to help us winning games. I would rather have Graham Potter to the end of the season and then go get that big manager. There's no point replacing shit with garbage. There is no point. Lampard is shit. The players in the team, he's had arguments with Kova, Kante, Kepa, Aspie. He's had arguments with them. They don't like him. He doesn't like them. Why bring back your ex for 3 weeks? There's no point. Go and get the long-term manager we need. Why not get Nagelsmann now? You want to wait? Go get Nagelsmann. Bayern want to get him a job ASAP, though.
Maybe he's not ready yet. He's just come out of Bayern Munich. This is what I'm saying.
What's 3 weeks going to change, though, Jem? What's 1 week and a half going to change?
Maybe for him, it might be because he wants to spend time with his family. These guys do have personal lives. What do you, like, I'm just saying, like, Jem, we need to think of that. We can't.
If it's a personal life, that's great. Move on to next. Like, Jem, Bayern want to get rid of him off his contract, right? Because he's getting, obviously, I don't blame him. He's getting paid, right, to do nothing because he's still paid, right? And now Mickey Mount is going to keep starting week in, week out. That twat's going to keep coming on this pitch. Gallagher's going to be on this pitch. This team's going to get shit. I don't know. Wait 11 games on shit.
I know what you're worried about. You know Mendy is coming back. That's what you're worried about.
He knows it.
That is why you're worried.
Mendy.
You know what, Lampard, look at that smile. He was. He knew Kepa's going to get dropped. This is why he's going mad.
Mendy. I'm not going to say because there's kids on here, but Mendy got injured for some reason. So I'm not going to say why. Mendy got the most useless injury. He's back, right? Mendy starts. It's going to be end of Chelsea.
That's the real agenda there. That's what he's worried about with Lampard. It's the Kepa.
But I am. You're going to start everyone Mendy. The guy can't kick a ball. Like, the guy can't kick a ball. It's just a selection. And I'm saying this. You're replacing shit with garbage. Replace shit with greatness. I'd rather have John Terry come for 5-6 weeks. I would not have Frank Lampard at this fucking club. He's a legend of a player. One of my favorite players. But as a manager, he's garbage. He's so shit. Yeah, and he's came in this club where he's had arguments. If this was Tuchel coming back for 4 weeks, everyone would be off the head. Right? Because he's had problems here. Lampard's had problems. Why are we bringing back the same problem?
By the way, Frank Lampard has a better statistical record than Graham Potter, the worst manager in Chelsea's history. So we can't say that.
Graham Potter has a better run in the Champions League than Frank Lampard.
Super Frankie Lampard.
He got us to the Champions League. He didn't even get to take us to the next stage. That was the difference. That's when he got sacked.
Well, again, I'm not going to argue shit versus garbage. Like, they're both bad. I would not bring back Frank Lampard. I would just bring in Nagelsmann. If you say Nagelsmann's not ready, keep Potter. Keep him. There's no point.
No.
This is a PR stunt. It's a PR stunt. It's a PR stunt to bring back the fans.
Yeah, but it's not work. No one wants Lampard. You speak like we want him. We're just taking it.
You weren't going to games, bro. I was going to the games with Potter, watching Potter, right? And not only the toxicity between the fans, but the lack of knowledge, know-how, game plan, decision-making in bringing on players that actually improve the team, the regression in second halves. Lampard ain't letting them do that. Do you think Lampard's going to sit on his fucking ass just staring at them?
You think Lampard's not going to bring on Gallagher at the 70th minute? Of course he is. He's still going to do the same shit.
We don't know this. We don't know this.
Jim, at least we've seen it. We know what he's done. We're going to play the same octagon fucking formation that we play. Like, I know what's going to happen with this team. We're going to go from 11th to 12th. I agree. Jim, I'm not saying don't
we're going to win games 8-7 and it's going to be 4-1-5 attack. That's what we're going to play. But it might score goals. We might score goals.
Here's the thing. Go get me the long-term manager. Now, my thing is go get me the long-term manager now. We should start looking at managers back in Feb and have a plan. For me, it's rushed. We're rushing it. Oh, sack Potter. Now bringing in Lampard. Why bringing in Lampard? You had the conversation with him 2 days ago. It is rushed. But I agree they're taking their time. They're taking their time on picking the right selection. But for me, this is telling me that they want to wait for Nagelsmann. But why not just get him in now? What's the point? You're getting Frank Lampard, bro. He's garbage. We know what he's done. He's shit.
We don't know. We don't know what he is, though. You're stressing about things we don't know. Just relax for a second. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know.
What I do know is we're going to get knocked out Madrid. No one. We're not going to win any. I swear to God, Lampard, I don't think we'll win us any game. I think he'll be here. He'll win us 1 or 2 games.
Champions League. Win the Champions League. Right.
If Lampard wins the Champions League, everyone wants to stay. And Lampard wants to stay. By the way, guys, Lampard wants to stay. His goal is to stay. He doesn't want to leave. He wants to be there. He said his own words. His plan is here to extend and to progress. So not extend,
but
progress.
That's impossible. He has to win Champions League. It's improbable.
Di Matteo won the Champions League and got sacked. You know what I mean? Like this.
That was tenure. He's fighting to stay. But all I'm saying is Frank Lampard is shit. And at least the Fat Frank brings the back now. At least I'm gonna be called a racist. I'm gonna be called everything because I say Fat Frank. But at least Fat Frank's back. Welcome back, Fat Frank.
All right,
I think this is a poor decision. It's a very poor one. I mean, when we had this guy, he got fired because it was just that bad. Why bring him back? Why?
I don't know, bro. What's your thoughts on it then? Go on, tell us.
I just think we went from one garbage manager and we go into just a terrible one as well. I mean, dude got fired from Everton, dude. Why? I mean, I understand the sentimental part of it. He's a legend and all, but Jesus, what's this going to do? I mean, forget the good feel factor.
What are we going to do is more the question. Where are we? It's not like we're in the Premier League, is it? We're 11th. Like, what are we doing here? Like, all right,
I understand that part of it, but this is just poor, man. I mean, you think you get rid of Graham Potter and your week gets better, but then it actually doesn't. They bring just an equally inept manager, bro. I mean, let me ask you something. What do you think is going to change from when he was here the last time? Honestly speaking.
Wait, 40? And Zovi, don't you guys think you should wait at least until the Wolves before you unleash the kind of whoop ass? Because what if he destroys Wolves and then you guys are going to be here like, oh, okay, he actually done decent. And me and James are going to be like,
his first season, he beat Wolves. When Lampard's
you're on mute right now, but I know it's only Wolves. I get that.
But we know what we had with Lampard. We know. I want to have Kepa as manager. Bring Kepa off the pitch and put him as the manager. I'd rather that because at least there's something different.
The Thiago one was funny, but
because I know I would rather have someone else than Lampard because I know what we're going to get with Lampard. We're going to get Oxygen. Bring Cole, bring Terry. We'll have oxygen formation, crossing inshallah, fucking terrorist football again. It's gonna be shit. Jim, we had arguments. I remember sitting here in 2020 and arguing about Lampard subs. He'll bring on Gallagher. Who used to bring
Someone go and get me tissues. Where's the tissues?
Used to be on Gallagher. Used to be on what's his name? Gilmore. Gilmore on the 89. We used to worst subs. These are the worst subs ever. We should need a goal. We need to be on Jorginho. The subs were shit.
Yeah, you're overreacting, man. He's going to win the first 3 games with new manager Barros.
It's not even about it's not even about him winning or losing right now. Do you know where we are right now with 9 games left? Do you know where this club is right now this season?
And he's going to make it worse.
In the mud.
As long as we don't get relegated. You know, and we don't get Europa League.
He got Everton relegated for the first time ever in history. He'll get us relegated.
We're not getting relegated, man. You'll just be the hater.
Just stay 10th. I'll be happy with that.
But Jim, you're still not answering the point. Why don't we get the long-term manager now? That's my thing. Why don't we get the long-term manager now?
You sound like a Man United fan from last season. Terry said the same thing. He's like, why don't we get Ten Hag right now, last 10 games? I'm like, bro, let Maman do his thing until summer. Let him assess us from outside looking in and then come in and look how it worked out much better. So I'd rather them do that.
Yeah, but the difference is Ten Hag was still a coach.
They might want to have more options in their decision making. What happened the last time around when we appointed Graham Potter? They made a rash decision in sacking Tuchel and just appointing someone very quickly without actually understanding their project, their module, and then looking at what managers are available and then going, how does it work? There's no point in them just rushing into Nagelsmann if they're not fully 100% sure that Nagelsmann's the perfect man for them in the project. So they've got to look at other avenues. They can't just be like bang, 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 bang all the time.
And they're saying in 3 months they're gonna. But Jim, you're saying so by June they'll understand it. By June they'll have their target. 100% sure they have their target. By June.
It might be that we appoint Nagelsmann. Don't get me wrong.
We might get Jose Mourinho before we know, bro.
If we could get some guy from like Portugal or Saudi Arabia, and it's like some other guy, okay, at least they had a look or whatever, but they thought about it. But if we could get Nagelsmann in June, what's the point of fucking Lampard being here, man?
Nah, he's going PSG, man. He's going PSG. PSG have given up on elite gaffers.
Maybe they can get some passion football out of the team that we've seen, literally nothing. mentality, bottled nothing. I don't know. Maybe they feel that he's the guy to be able to just get something out of them for now, and then till they can make a decision.
Yes, it's a PR. It's a PR
Doesn't
stunt.
matter. At the end of the day, whatever the thing is, we're going to have a new manager in the summer. They're going to find someone. They just
and I'm just saying, all I'm here, my contention was, why don't we get the long-term manager now? You say it's to ensure we get the best option. Fine. Don't replace shit with garbage. And don't get me a PR stunt who's going to come in and make the fans happy. Mount's going to be back on the pitch. He's going to be clapping the fans. He's Papa Charles. I would rather just let Graham Potter stay to the end of the season. There's no point for this. This is a PR move. That's what I'm saying.
With the fan.
Lampard got relegated. They got relegated. I think it's Sean Dyche. I would rather get Big Sam in. Even Big Sam would have taken the job, and I'd rather Big Sam in.
Yeah, fine, whatever. But it doesn't matter if Big Sam, Frank, what the fuck? Like, honestly, does it really matter at this point? Like, this is all I'm saying.
Yeah, because Lampard's been here, he's done that. I don't know. I didn't go back to my ex for 3 weeks. I said I don't go back to my ex for 3 weeks. I go for someone who I can get for a long term, or someone that's new, man. I don't go for 3 weeks.
All I know is that Potter had to go, right? We made the decision to get rid of Potter. 2 managers sacked in the space of 1 season, and now the third decision of who they're going to bring in, I'm pretty sure they just want to get right. And it might be that they're interviewing managers that we don't actually want, but they need to just understand their pitch, their model, what they're going to bring, and they're going to make a decision on 4 or 5 probably managers that come available in the summer. You know what it's like. People shift around. There might be even more people available that are that they may want. So it's not like we're in the middle of a season or the beginning of the season and we need something quick now because we've got so long left of the season. We've got 9 games left. All right, we've got the Champions League. I get people going, we can still win that. I understand that. Yeah, and that really it's a cup competition. It's going to be up in the air. It's either going to happen for us or it ain't going to happen with us. I don't know. And the way I feel at the moment, I don't think it will, to be honest, especially when we've got Bayern and Man City in the semis anyway, on top of beating Real Madrid if we do. It would be nice to go all the way, but I ain't jumping the gun and being like, we got to get the manager now because we got to get Champions. No, we need to understand where we are in the season.
I get that, right? I know there will be quality managers available on the market later.
Yeah.
But I mean, we still have 9 games to go. We still have a good tie against Real Madrid.
That's nothing. 9 is nothing.
Dude, let me just make my point. Porter had to go, definitely. But could it have been anybody else just adequately inept? I'm sorry, Lampard is not a good coach. We've seen it. We've experienced it with our club, with a different club. So I understand there's nothing else to play for, but Jesus Christ, why does it have to be him? I mean, give me any.
Wait, can I answer that? Can I just end everyone's flipping bull crap here? Everyone is asking for a bag of money. Everyone's asking for crazy money other than Lampard. Lampard's like, I'll do 11 games. Don't watch that. Well, come on, they all want minimum what Potter wants or more, which is
if they're in term, they'll only ask for 11. But give them the 10 mil.
Hey, Jem,
give them the 10 mil.
Jem, can I ask you a question?
If Dyche wants 10 mil,
the
10 mil. It doesn't matter.
You look at Brendan Rodgers and Frank Lampard. Honestly speaking, who's the better manager? No. Just answer.
Oh no, Kasim's going to come in now. Kasim's coming in.
I just want to know. Honestly speaking, who's a better manager?
What does it matter at this point? What does it matter?
They're both shit.
Why are we having this conversation about having the best manager now when we're only?
Well, anyway, at least we know Lampard. Hopefully, Lampard doesn't just stay till that June path. He's here now, and the one thing that scares me as well, Jem, is that he's going to be starting Mount. What if Mount gets that contract extension now?
Oh no, Mount.
What if he now he's starting to get that contract extension?
Doesn't matter.
No, because Lampard has double standards. Lampard has favorites. Lampard has besties. So he's going to start his besties in front of the other ones who's playing better. So Mount will be back on the pitch because he's been proven nothing.
Back in the team.
Ziyech will be back in the team. Mendy will be back in the team.
Get the Mount under Lampard that actually played well.
The bang average Mount Lampard. The bang average Mount. We've got at least one benefit. The one positive thing I'm going to say is that Mudryk is here, and Lampard did want Mudryk before he was valued at 100 million. So that's one positive we can maybe see in maybe Mudryk some more development. But in terms of Mount, what if Mount's like an extension? That's why I'm scared.
It's Mount. I forgot. Yeah.
Let Mount sign, bro. What's wrong with him, man?
Let's not get into Mount because Mount is shit. He's not re-signing. Do not re-sign
this conversation with you, man. Tyrone, what are you saying, bro? If you're muted, mate.
Yeah.
You're there.
Yeah. No. Matt is hilarious, man. I mean, I think all these hypothetical talks of Modi's gonna be playing, Ziyech is gonna come back in. I think Lampard is a logical man. He has a very high IQ. He will look at certain aspects. You see, and Maddie's shaking his head and saying no. You can't just say that because the first time around he had these players. He wanted Ziyech, he got Ziyech, he liked this and he liked that player. He is a logical person. You'll see that you have new signings. You have Maduki, who is slowly adapting to the league. He's making impact. You have other players as well. You have Mudrik, which apparently he wanted at
Yeah,
Everton,
quality players.
who who also is struggling, and you can see that his first touch is poor and everything. He's going to make the logical decisions. So not because Mo he likes Mo and perhaps Mo will be playing because he is always complimenting Mo and even complimented him in the press conference. But I mean, all this talk of Lampard is not the best fit, which yes, it's not like he's the new owner. He's
Not the
not the
answer.
new owner, the new manager.
Yeah.
He's not
Yeah.
permanent. He's an interim. And if you look at it,
What happened
and
there?
somebody made a point, people are gonna look at the fact that Poche got a contract. No one is going to really make haste and say, okay, I'm gonna come in because they're gonna say you had Tuchel, you sacked Tuchel, you got Poche, who you thought was going to be that long-term manager, and then he sacked him 7 or 8 months later. No manager is going to come in and just disregard all of that factors and all that narrative and say that okay, I'm going to come in. Lampard is Chelsea through and through. He's a legend, so it's going to boost the morale of
Super,
some part of the
super
fan
Frank.
base.
Super Frank.
Yeah,
I'm Chelsea through and through. Yeah, I'm proper Chelsea. Can I get the job?
No, you're a
Like,
proper
did
kipper,
you
that's
not
what you
remember
are.
2020? Is this? Are we forgetting 2020 when he would start players for being shit, and we're all coming and playing? Why is this guy starting? He's shit. Even Tuchel had it. Even Tuchel did it. And all I'm saying, and you can see that he's a high IQ. No, he doesn't. The guy has favorites. The guy has besties, right? So he will start Mount,
So
and
did
as
Potter.
and I don't like that when they have double standards.
So did Potter. Yeah,
didn't
it's
Potter have favorites? Didn't Tuchel have favorites?
They were favourites.
Who's Potter's
They were
favourite?
Everybody has
Who's Potter's
favorites.
favourite?
That's the thing. You're going to have favorites. Klopp
Who
has
was Potter's
favorites.
favorite? Who was Potter's
Pep
favorite?
has favorites. So
He didn't have
everybody
favorites.
has favorites. You can't be.
Tuchel's
Why-
favorite was
why- why is-
Jorginho
why is
and
it when-
Reece James, who was the two best players in the pitch.
Haven't.
Like, I mean, he dropped it for that reason. But again, I know
Anyway.
I've seen this from Lampard.
Yeah, but you're going on what you saw from him in the past with him, and I get that, right? Because
I saw him 3 weeks ago when he did that when he got sacked at everything because he never got them relegated.
He's
Saw it
got
3
a
weeks
lot-
ago.
got a large scope
In 2
to
months, bro.
That's not fair on Lampard completely though. Everton have some big injury problem as well.
Where are Everton now?
No, but listen,
Where
Lampard's
Everton
learned
now?
a lot in those 2 months. He's been missing.
I just don't get why
Went
we're
to,
so crybaby about it. Like, it's 9 games. I get it's annoying. It is what it is. What like. But at the end of the day, it's either Bruno Silva or Lampard. At the end of the day, and Lampard's coming. We're going to appoint a manager, a new manager, either before the summer or after this. I've said this already. So I get like the whole frustration, but also understand where we are already in the season. We're nearly at the end of it anyway. There's 9 games left. All right, this Champions League, but let's be serious. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, let's really just be logical. I know we've done it in the past and we've it's happened before, but we're not really in a great place where we have quality. We don't have a structure. We have no game plan. There's no identity to the way that we want to play at the moment. Right? We're not going to get that anytime soon now with whatever caretaker manager we bring in through this period anyway. So why are we crying so much about it? As long as we don't get relegated, it is what it is. Big up to President Jafar. He said Super Frank 2.0, make Mount great
Mount.
again. Is what he said. But
Yeah, come on.
he did make him great. Don, I know Don's not too happy about
bang
Lampard,
average.
but do you understand it?
Say that again, Jem.
Frank Lampard, tell us.
Oh man, I can't lie. I was rattled by the news yesterday when it came out that we've actually hired him. Because realistically, I thought Nagelsmann or Enrique would take the job now. Like, I get it. I do get it. They want to do their due diligence. And the first thing I said when Potter was sacked, please don't make any rash decisions because we need to make sure that this next appointment is actually going to be the right appointment, especially in the short term. We don't know what's going to happen in the long term, but we need some stability. We need some results. We need to see better performances instantly, right? So I do get it. They're taking their time with it. But I get the logic around Frank. I'm not overreacting. When I saw it, I didn't scream and shout, chuck things around the house. I didn't do that. I was underwhelmed by it because I just didn't expect this to happen. I thought they would have got the manager in. But again, I get the logic around it because everything that we're hearing around the club, Potter, they're giving him nicknames. Apparently, he's asking the players, "What do they think of me?" Like Ben Jacobs just said, Ben. As much as it's not Ben, sorry, Jem. As much as what do you call it? As much as Frank Lampard isn't tactically inept, he still has some sort of Chelsea experience as a manager and as a player. And he wasn't as bad as what people make him out to be at Chelsea. Yes, he's not a good manager. I don't rate this guy. After he went Everton, I had conversations about him with my friends. I said, it's championship time for this guy. He should have never been fast-tracked to a job like Derby as your first job. Do you know what I mean? So I don't rate him as a manager. But what I do respect him is as a club legend. So in terms of that aspect of it, hopefully coming in, reminding these players who they're playing for, reminding them who Chelsea is, because it seems like we're a bit of a joke. Like I keep saying, we're a youth club right now. Logically, I understand the reasoning behind it, but I'm not happy with it. But I'm not going to overreact. Like, it's 9 games. There's nothing to play for the rest of this season. Ideally, I would have liked a new manager to come in to help us prepare for next season. But unfortunately, that's not happening. So I'm not going to scream and shout about it.
Have we not ever even thought about that? Maybe these managers don't want to take it on now. Maybe they just say, just give us a fresh
yeah, exactly. There's that as well.
Enrique
In my ideal world, let me just finish, man. But with Enrique, yes, he could have taken it now, but we don't know if he's their first choice because what's coming out and who seems to be their favorite is Nagelsmann. So if they want to take their time and if Nagelsmann feels that what he can build for us will be best to start in the summer, in the fresh, then there's nothing we can do. Let's not rush and go with Enrique because he can come in now. Because realistically, even if we win 5-6 games, there's just nothing really to play for this part of the season. It's a little too late. So it goes back to the ownership leaving the sacking of Potter this late, hence why we're in this situation. Because if he got sacked in, let's say, in January or even before the World Cup, there's no way they would have hired this man. There's no way they would have brought in Frank. There's no way.
Strong. That's what I'm saying. They would have
gone strong straight away. But where they've left it so late, it's a bit of a shit show. It makes no sense to, it makes sense to bring someone in now. But I get it if someone doesn't want to come in now. There's nothing we can do about it. But with Frank Lampard, I just don't overreact. Again, I don't know what to expect. I don't know what to expect whatsoever in terms of results or whatever. But what I can expect is at least, a baseline of respect because everyone knows who Frank Lampard is. Highest goal scorer at the club. Again, we've got a lot of young players, midfielders. Look at Enzo, like Ben Jacobs was just saying. They can learn from him. So, again, I'm not going to say anything in terms of coming on the pitch because, again, I don't rate this guy as a manager. But for now, I get the logic behind it. Ideally, I would have liked to manage it now, but unfortunately, we are where we are.
Yeah. No, I hear you, bro. I hear you. Adele, what you saying, mate? Yes. Adele, can you hear me, mate? You gonna talk?
He looks a bit frozen.
Is he going to talk? Is he going to stare? He's lagging badly. Bro, you're lagging badly, man. Can't even talk. Sorry, mate. He's just sitting there staring at us.
Like, Lampard's doing the job for free, man. So everyone don't jump off his case. He's doing it for £10 a week.
Is he? Is he doing it for free?
Yeah, apparently it's 50k.
Yeah,
so that's like 10.
He said, I'll do it for free if I can put Mendy back in goal. And they said, yeah, go on.
Man, of course he wanted to. Mate, you know, the showbiz for him, man. He never. Yeah. Anyway, at least if he goes in 9 games, whatever, 11 games, that's fine. Whatever, get him out.
Matty.
But it's just not an improvement on what we have. It's not going to progress us any further.
Now.
I always look for progressing. I think it'll make us worse. I think it'll make some problems with some of these players. For example, Mount might on a fucking contract.
How can it be worse? Where are we going to finish? 15th.
Guys, we're mathematically not safe from relegation. We can get worse. We can still lose games. Lampard will lose us games.
1 point.
Burn about. We'll get 8-0.
Safety.
Jem, still 1 point. We still need to get that 1 point.
We're going to get 1 point with Lampard. Sorry.
Who's going to get that 1 point? Put me as manager, man. Give me as a fucking manager. I'll get us the fucking top 4. Put me as a manager. I'll get higher than Frank Lampard. Manager's as player. Give me in.
Adele, what you saying, mate? Can you hear us now? Maybe not. He likes staring at us.
You should jump over the camera at the least.
Adele, mate, you going to talk? Hello? You there?
Oh,
I don't know, bro.
People saying People saying they're not gonna get worse. We're gonna get worse. Like we
How?
can get worse.
Oh,
Because
Matt,
I'll tell you right now, he'll put his little
you know
favorite
what's the
boys that he
thing?
does, in the bathrooms with, or whatever they do behind the scenes. He's gonna put them on the pitch, and we're gonna fail from there. Mason Mount will continue.
We were going to
starting.
lose to
Mendy on,
Arsenal anyway. We were going to lose to Man City anyway. We were going to lose some big games anyway. Real Madrid,
That's-
it doesn't really
Hey,
anyway,
matter.
guess what? You might get a better Mason Mount, though. You might
Guys,
win the
Lampard
second
can
game.
come. I couldn't care less, but it's not what I would do. My intention will be to get that long-term manager now. And this is telling me this is a PR stunt. It's a PR stunt. Again.
Do you know what it is with our fan base? We just like making stories in our heads, don't we, all the time? It's like we can't just go. It's always. It's like we moan about.
Jem, you got to think logically. You think it's all sunshine and rainbows.
We moan about Graham Potter rushing, us signing Potter and rushing and sacking Tuchel, and now they want to just take their time and make the right choice. We're now moaning because they're not getting the right manager. It's just unbelievable.
In 2 months, in 2 months, when Nagelsmann's here, what's going to change? In 2 months, when Nagelsmann's here in June, what's going to change? Wait, what's going to change? From now till June, what's going to change? Because Nagelsmann will be. If you're saying Nagelsmann's,
maybe Nagelsmann wants to spend a couple of weeks or month with
but
his
Jim,
family.
you just told me that I'm making up stories and believing stuff. When you're just here, maybe he wants to be
Yeah,
with
but
his
you're
family.
sitting there
blah, blah, blah,
assuming.
blah, blah,
You're
blah.
asking me why doesn't he want to take it over now?
I am assuming, but you're telling me I can't assume, and then you come assume.
Well,
I'm assuming. Yes,
you're
I'm not
asking me an
assuming.
assuming question. What do you want me to say? We don't know. You're asking me
Don't come out and say.
question.
Don't come out and
Don't
say.
say-
Don't assume, and then you come out and assume.
Yeah, because you're
Nagelsmann
asking
spent
me
time
an
with his
assuming
family. Blah
question.
blah 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 blah.
I've just said to you
what
that
managers
it might
would
be
take
because he
the
wants
last
to
10
wait till the
games?
summer. It's like
No,
what-
there's not, yeah.
All I'm
I
saying,
don't-
but why can't Nagelsmann? Hang on. Jem's theory is that Nagelsmann can't come in because he's spending time with his family. Right?
Maybe he
That's
don't
his
want to
theory.
come in now. What about this one? Maybe he just doesn't want to come in this window. Why not? What about that one?
Why?
Maybe he just doesn't want to take over now. Maybe he wants to wait
He's
till
waiting
summer.
for PSG.
Maybe,
He's waiting for PSG.
and
Or maybe like Ben
Maybe.
Jacobs said, maybe there is maybe other options out there. Maybe like these top managers want to do is compare, if Chelsea are on the table and PSG come around the corner, maybe they want to have a bit of a bargain more as managers. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah,
when
maybe over
Nagelsmann's
my
here in
period,
June,
yeah.
there's gonna be 0 changes. Like we should have just had him now. But I don't know. I would have kept Frank. I would have kept Graham Potter anyway. Like
No,
I don't like
no,
the
no,
guy.
no,
I never wanted him.
Nah.
You won't
You,
see.
yeah, you don't know about Graham
Yeah,
Potter's
I know,
giving you a heart
and
attack.
that's where comes my point. It's gonna be a PR stunt where he's gonna come, he's gonna clap the fans, and give the fans what he wants. But he's not gonna win. He's not gonna get the results.
90% of the fan base was crying out for Potter to get sacked. Now you're saying, "Oh, we should have kept Potter." Well, it don't make no sense.
Dude, I don't care. I don't care about the fan base. I don't care about the fan base. I've got to care about you guys crying. Like, think about the.
Don went to games with me as well. He was sitting with me. How bad and toxic it was there. And what we even saw on the pitch. It was bad. It was really bad. I don't think you understand how bad it was, Potter.
I don't, Jim. As I said, Jim, it was bad. But to bring in Lampard again, yeah, that's my point. I just don't like Lampard. Don't want. But anyway, he's here. We'll see what happens.
Matty, you're missing a key point. Hold on, OG. Matty, you're missing a key point here because Jeb is right. We've been to games this season and it's been bad, bro. It's horrendous. It's even worse in person. And especially when you even watch him, when you just watch him on the touchline, this man was completely out of his depth. This man is not a man that you would look at and think he even managed in the Prem. The guy was absolutely clueless. Absolutely, he had no idea what he was doing. It was bad, bro. That's why I'm saying, like, if you actually go, if you, I'm not saying that if you go to the games, you're any better than the fan who doesn't, because we're all the same, right? But when you're actually in the stadium and you can sense what he's doing, and you can sense it's completely different, bro. Something had to change. The main problem that you're missing, the main thing that you're missing here is the fact that they've waited too long to sack him. But again, they done themselves anyway, because what they did was they hired him on a 5-year contract, right? They said they're not trying to do this hire fire thing. They're trying to back their man. They had egg on their face for weeks, but they couldn't sack him because of what they said initially. Because if they did sack him, then it would be, oh, you're basically the same as Roman. They had to carry on and keep saying, we're going to give him time. We're going to give him time, as much as they didn't want to, because believe you me, they were not happy with these results that were happening. They were not happy with this. I'm telling you now. They weren't.
I was the first one to come out and criticize Potter on that shit. And I just attacked. I said Potter out in the second game week. I said he hasn't had the mentality for it. I agree. no mentality. He's the worst coach in history. I agree with you. But then to go and get Lampard for the 11 games doesn't make sense. I'm saying, why don't we get a manager
but I
now?
agree with
And
you.
your point is, so you want to wait and you want to ensure we get the right one. I'm saying that's fine.
Yes.
I'm not going to get this interim manager like Lampard where he can come in and essentially change the structure and possibly get extensions to players.
Who would you have brought in now? Who would you have brought in now as an interim? That's available. Who would you have brought in now?
Serious about that?
Don,
Is it Thiago Silva?
I'd rather bring in a John Terry. I'd rather bring in Ashcroft. I'd rather bring in a
No.
I'd rather
See,
bring
Jem,
anyone.
look,
That's
let me just say
someone
something,
new.
yeah? When I was in the toilet at the bridge, there was this drunk guy that said, just bring in JT. I thought it was going to be banter, like just, JT for banter. But are you actually being serious?
Is Lampard not banter? You're bringing Frank Lampard, the second worst Chelsea mission. But Don, at least that's something different.
Matty. If Frank Lampard was such a joke,
you're bringing in what we know is shit. You're bringing in shit.
Let me ask you a question. Yeah, let me ask you a question. How did Frank Lampard manage to get us top 4 in a transfer ban, right, with a bunch of youth players, right? I don't rate him as a manager at all. I don't. But we got him from Derby, by the way. We got this man from Derby, and he managed to get us top 4, right, in his first season managing in the Premier League, and with a shit squad. Quite lucky as well, but with a shit squad, right?
And
how did he manage?
And he didn't have a lot of managerial experience. So what says John Terry can't come and do something like that? I'm not saying he will, but.
Matty, if you're looking at Frank Lampard and you're looking at John Terry and they're both available, I'm sorry, you've got to bring Frank back because at least he's got some level of experience at this level. John Terry has never managed in the Premier League before,
but Frank
right?
Lampard's managed a squad who he's had arguments with and got sacked for those reasons.
Yeah, but
So
it's 9 games.
Okay. You're going back and forth, man.
But you're bringing in
problems.
You want to get rid of problems, but you're bringing in more problems. Doesn't make sense.
No. What was the problem? And we got rid of that big problem. We got rid of that headache. Yeah, we got rid of that clown. Right? It's 9 games. Like I've said, the main thing here is the owners have left it too late. That's what the main problem is. That's what it is. Because if he got sacked earlier, I'm telling you, we would have never brought Frank in. And if we did bring Frank in, let me just finish him. Yeah. If we did bring Frank in earlier, like in January, for example, February, I'm losing my shit the same way that you are. I'm losing my shit the same way that you are, bro. I'm telling you. The only reason why I'm not pissed the way you are is because it's 9 games. That's why.
No. The reason he's pissed is because Lampard's back and Kepa's now going to get benched for Mendy.
That's
why he's really angry. Yeah, that's the main reason.
Wait, and no, because Lampard's been here for 3 hours and I'm already hearing Mount contract extensions. And that's already scaring me more than it is. And that's why I'm scared.
That's not happening.
Matt, I came here to tell you that it's signed. They already signed it. He said, "I'll take whatever I want to play for Lampard." That's what he said. Matt didn't want me here, but you went on too long, man. Everyone knows Matt's not doing it well because Lampard's gonna bench Kepa as well, and bring on Mount, his worst nightmare. Matt doesn't know. Matt still thinks he's streaming. You wake up, Matt. You'll be alright. In the morning, Lampard might not be here. He's living a nightmare, this guy.
Man,
don't worry, Matt. Hey, it's only for 2 months. It'll be all right. You can do other things for 2 months. Go on a holiday or something. Don't worry about it, mate.
I mean, I don't know what the problem is. Even if you look at it from a PR standpoint, even if you're right, Matt, and it's a PR stunt, what's the problem?
Thank you.
It's 9 games left. No matter who you bring in. No matter who you bring in, it's not going to change the fate of this season.
It's going to change now,
It's not. So if they're looking at it from the standpoint where they're giving the fans, a bone here, they're taking away the toxicity and giving Lampard another chance to be in front of this club, a guy that has Chelsea in his DNA. I don't see what the problem is. I'm not necessarily elated that it's Lampard either, but in terms of who he is and his stature in this club, what he means to this club, the fact that we have nobody that actually understands the Chelsea DNA in the entire structure of the club right now, I think is important. Just to even and not to mention the fact that he understands a lot of the personalities in the dressing room now. He knows a lot of those guys quite closely. So you don't want to bring somebody else in who doesn't understand the dynamic in the dressing room.
That's a true thing.
And then have that become even more of a problem when you're trying to find another manager.
Is it that to build a
Lampard simply goes in. He manages us to the end of the season. He gives a little bit of instruction to the next manager. Gives him a little bit of what's going on, what the dynamic is, and it's a seamless transition. I don't have a problem with Lampard. I think he's fine for the 9 games or whatever. We're just riding out the season.
It's 14 games, Couch. 14 games. We're going to Istanbul, mate.
Hey, I'm kind of on that boat where I don't mind it, but I would have preferred to bring in the manager that we want, or they think is going to take us forward, our next permanent manager, in a little bit earlier.
But I don't think that's not going to be. But you know what, Declared? I don't think that's not going to happen. Like, it could be very easy. Like, Lampard manages us to the end of the season, and the actual manager is hired like within the next 2 weeks, and then he's just observing what's happening.
While Lampard's here, you mean?
Exactly.
Well, that's where I disagree, and I can see 2 points. We both can't be. We're not wrong, but I kind of see it the other way. I think they got Lampard here, and diluted as it is, I think that he's given an opportunity, right, to see if he can take the job. Like, he's come in with maybe a small percentage of a chance, right? Not that they told him there's no way it's happening. Lampard's going to try to do something. Like if Lampard wins the Champions League, everyone's going to be saying maybe this guy should be our next manager, right? Or maybe they might give it to him. That small 5% chance, that's still chance. I don't think, unless things go badly, I think they just give him to the end of the season and then do it. But I would have preferred another interim manager with one of the coaches. Like Anthony Barry, was in there, and that guy's managed Wigan. At least he would have been better than Bruno. Regardless, that's how much of a write-off.
Right? You know he's on his way to Bayern, right?
Yeah, but he can be an intern for
Lampard's going to make him stay.
Yeah.
Oh, now he's staying.
Again.
But regardless, there was better choices than Bruno. What I'm just saying is that because there's internationals at the end of the season as well, Andrew was saying in the other show, I would have preferred a manager to come in and start his preseason a little early in these 10 games. Get to know the team, try out some stuff. Players go on holidays, internationals, come back and continue that. Just have a little head start. I would have preferred that. Lampard's come in, for me, just to calm down the fans. Like you said, no manager will come in and turn the season around and take us all the way. So it got really toxic, and he's just been brought in to just calm everyone down. It's going to be a good atmosphere, like everyone's going to be singing his name at the games and stuff like that. But I would have preferred. Because Jim already said that.
Super Frank.
With the donation here, big up to him. He says, making stuff up. Lampard didn't fall out with Cover, Aspi, or N'Golo Kante. He fell out with Alonso, Rudiger, J5, and Kepa. Only that bum Kepa is still here.
Well, that bum is number one keeper.
Aspi's still. Aspi's dead.
Yeah, I think Aspi
was part of it. Well, the reason he got sacked is because he lost the dressing room and he wasn't connecting, and obviously it was shit. So you're just bringing him back for the same problems to possibly happen again. We know the thing is, we know the problems. We know the problems. We talk about 9 games, but you know that. And I'm saying you can say 9 games, but you know the problem's going to come back. And you guys say it's only 9 games. So don't come and complain. Don't come and complain when we're losing 3-0 to Brighton. They're going to play when the players are falling out.
We're on vibes. Fam, we're on vibes. There's no such thing as don't come back.
Imagine Mount balls out too. What are you going to do? You're going to blow a head gasket.
Don't come out and you guys all want to know. Don't come out and complain when we're down 4-0.
Why not?
Players don't come with the manager.
I'm trying to help you.
Who cares if we're down 4-0?
Hold on, Declare.
Mate. You're all so happy that Lampard's here. Every single person said to you, we're not all overly excited that Lampard's here, but at the same time, we kind of just understand it. It's what it is. Understand the position where we are in the season right now. There's 9 games left, a bit of Champions League, and you're crying about us losing 2-0 games and that, and saying
Jim, we can't be upset about losing games. What you're saying? You're here for you're here for vibes. You're here for whatever. I'm saying you're here for vibes. I said don't come and complain when we're down 3-0. Don't come in the Brighton review and go. You know what's
be down 4-0 anyway with Potter.
What are we complaining about? Yeah, mate, you know Ashley Cole's going to be on the sideline too. I'm great to see just Legends. It's going to be half a Legends game. Maybe they should just jump on. I want Lampard to jump on.
But Jem,
I'm happy.
I don't want Lampard.
Yeah, the guy destroyed the season.
Change a bit, hasn't it?
Matt, you're talking about like there's something to salvage or something.
Declared. Let me help Matt. Let me help Matt. Matt.
Callie, I don't think anyone can help you.
When you know the problems are here.
Matty,
Matt,
we are
just let me
completely
say
damaged
something.
already. We are 11th. How more damage can we be as a football club?
Jem, do you know we can still go down the ladder? We can still go down.
You keep talking about going to get relegated.
Fam,
You need one
we can
point
lose
above the
every
relegation.
game. We can lose every game and not get relegated. We're on vibes, Matt. Listen, Matt, we're on vibes. Hold
I'm here to
on.
still win. I got, you know, we're trustful club. I always want to win. I want to win. You suck a Potter. You give me a manager.
Win what,
games. Yeah?
Matt, calm down. Listen to this point right here.
If you drop your standards, you just set the club standards drop with it.
Listen, you spent this whole season bagging Mount. Mount doesn't play.
I want to win,
right? And now, and then you shut up. And now the only reason, right, that like you're hating Lampard is because he's gonna bring Mount back.
That is it.
Nah, listen.
That's why he's laughing. Look.
Listen. I'm exposing two agendas really quick. Matt, the only reason you care that Lampard's coming back is for one of two reasons. One, Declared said it. Mount. Two, because Kepa's gonna get benched. You and I both know that. Secondly, regardless of the Kepa benching, regardless of Mount, I need to explain something to you, Matt. Stop trying to think about winning. Season is dead. Fam, season is gone. It is vibe central. I have the Zaza ready for the next 2 months. We're not gonna win shit. We could lose every game. Hold on, wait. Let me finish this. So before any rebuttals, we could lose every single game. We need one draw. We don't get relegated. So Chelsea aren't gonna get relegated. That's my only fucking concern because the season's dead. Why am I going to look at the Champions League? We could have had Potter. We could have had Lampard. We could have had Bruno. We could have had none of them. We weren't going through against Real Madrid without an elite manager and at least a year to 2 years of this team being developed.
No, that I don't necessarily agree with. I don't know if I saw Robbie Di Matteo win the Champions League, man.
Okay, but wait. Couch. How
So
dare
Lampard
you
still
say
has a
that
chance.
squad? Couch, that
It's a different
squad.
animal altogether, man. You can catch a stroke.
No.
There's a 5% chance Lampard can be the manager.
Nah, I need people to be realistic. I need people to be realistic.
Chance for the players to elevate their game. They all do it. I'm just telling you.
Elevate it under Lampard.
Yeah, that's true.
Huh?
Right, in the Champions League, all you need is 3 good games and some luck. Not even 2-3 games and a lot of luck.
Okay,
you can win
all right. Anyone
and
on
then
the
Lampard's
panel,
your next manager.
$1,000 we don't go through the semifinals. Anybody on the panel?
What odds you giving me?
I'm
not taking 2 to 1 on that.
I'll take that.
$1,000 we don't go through to the semis.
In regards to the players needing motivation to go into the Champions League, I don't think they do because it's the only competition that they got left in to go for anyway. That will just come naturally to go out there and be motivated at the Bernabeu, to be motivated at Stamford Bridge to try and win. They're footballers, professional footballers at the end of the day. They're going to have that already. All that Lampard's got to do is somehow tactically make it work so that all that. You're right. So whether or not we win or lose, I promise you now, they will go out fighting Chelsea. I'm telling you now, they will go out.
They will.
Fight.
Everyone saw it, Jen, against Dortmund. Look at the Dortmund game. That was contract. Compare all our Champions League games to the EPL games. Very different.
That's fine, but it's real fucking Madrid.
Let's go to some super chats quickly. We've got Nyack saying, big ups, everyone. Season is dead. Who cares if the new manager comes now or summer? So long as they are the one to unlock our talent and play winning ball. We've got Nyack saying, big up to him. We've got another donation from the Winter server. Big up to him. He says, a football fan on vibes. Don't be deluded. They do not exist. Also, I take it that this will be everyone's last stream because the games do not matter, is what he's saying. It's not about the games that matter. It's about understanding where you are, Winterfell, in your season.
Well, no, you're saying the season's done. So the season's done. I'm
oh my
god.
God.
Season was done, man. Sure.
Guys, let me ask you this, right? Before everyone starts, right? What is your expectations of Chelsea in the last 9 games in the Champions League? Go on. I want to know.
To go as many points high as possible.
So what does that mean?
The most wins as possible.
Give me some
positions. Jem, you got. See, for me, Jem, the mentality is to get. You got to get the best possible thing. You spent 600 million. You got to get to the best you can get. Lampard doesn't improve that for me.
The Conference League.
Potter, that's great. Don't get a manager that's worse. We somehow sacked Tuchel, got a worse manager. Sacked Potter, got a worse manager. It's like Get someone in.
Do you know what, Jim? On that aspect that Matt says, I kind of agree with what he's saying because my logic around bringing in a manager now was to prepare for next season. I banged on about that point about preparing for next season.
Why are we talking about it? That's what I'm saying.
Okay, all right.
That's why on the flip side, again, they are looking for the right appointment, Matt. So there's no point in crying about it. It's 9 games.
Can I also counter with the fact we need to get to the summer?
39 points in the 36th round.
Holy fuck.
Well, when we're I want to go up. Jem, there's still 9 games. I want to win as many of the 9 games as I can. Doesn't matter if it takes me to no.
What's the goal, man? To get Conference League?
Declare that mentality.
Do you want Conference League, mate? Just say it. Not as high as possible.
If you continue to lose, you're a loser. If you accept losing, you're a loser. You got to accept winning.
So we're losers now.
The game is to win. So you're
we're losers now, yeah?
Bro,
all the shots.
We're already losers. What are you saying? You just want to be a bit more better than a loser?
Declined war. You want to be on a decline. You want to lose. I don't want to lose.
Matt. For once, just listen for 1 second. For 1 second, let me ask you something. No. Everybody stop, because I'm not doing this. For 1 second, listen to this. We are sitting 11th in the league right now. 9 games to go. Whether we brought Lampard in, or you want to bring the manager that we're supposed to magically pick all of a sudden after sacking Potter. They didn't want to sack Potter. They did not want to sack Potter, because if they did, our new manager would be in right now. He's not, which means they didn't want to sack him. So guess what? We have 9 games to go. The ownership fucked up, and we're sitting with interim manager Frank Lampard. Who cares? No, hold on, really quick. Who cares if we win 5 out of the 9 games? Who cares if we win 3 out of the 9 games? Because half these players might not even be in the team next season. Get to the summer.
What if we got undefeated though? This is my worry. That if we go undefeated or near so, yeah, this small sample size, there's going to be a fan base calling for Lampard to be the manager.
Nah, man, we can't go down that route. Cannot go down that route, man.
Anyone even dares?
No.
No, but it's gonna happen, yeah.
It's only going to be Rory Jennings that calls that, yeah? And no one else.
Yeah, Rory Jennings and Army.
Listen, everyone on this panel knows Lampard is weak as a manager. With all due respect to one of the greatest, if not the greatest,
Is my audio fine?
Oh shit! Nah.
Is my audio fine?
Yeah, we can hear you, Claire.
Yeah. London is expensive, bro. Like Lampard has family to feed. He has his wife. His wife needs to do Gucci bag shopping. The pay is ridiculous. He needs a pay rise. He needs a pay rise. Give him. Listen.
For free. He's doing it for free.
How much are we paying him? We paid Potter 13 million. We also paid his staff 25 million. I don't know, around 60 million, and we are paying Lampard how much?
Billion.
Class rep, we're on vibes, fam. Stop making logic.
Hold on. Let me make a point about what Declare just said. Yeah, what is going to stop that from even happening is they need to announce the new appointment before the end of the season to stop any of that even happening. Okay, we need to make sure that we have that wrapped up before summer, because Frank Lampard long term, no. This guy cannot stay here. Don't
blame Bowley. Don't blame Nagelsmann. Blame Benzema.
Wait.
Because that motherfucker is scoring goals, and we're not going to be on Champions League next year. Why are you blaming Todd Bowley or Nagelsmann?
Yeah, class rep, you're moving mad right now, but keep going. Spit your facts.
Your boyfriend couldn't score any goals to win us Champions League this season, man.
Oh, Glazrev, you don't change, man. I love your wise words, bro. But tell us about Lampard. Are you happy with Lampard?
My God,
Lampard is one of the legend. He took the job on a very weak pay. He deserved more pay, because end of the day there are employment courts in UK, in everywhere. So if he doesn't get the full proper pay, I'm pissed, because the reason Lampard got this job he has
Listen,
this
he's
job.
working
It's
for
like,
free.
you know,
It's his club, man.
Yeah, it's a charity. It's charity. There's
but-
no money
Yeah,
involved.
he's only doing it for the opportunity
Yeah.
to manage next season. Then he gets paid.
Listen, if your country is in danger of a war, you call somebody, you call your citizen, oh, come, help us. You pay that
Yeah, you get
soldier.
drafted.
Lampard is a soldier for us.
Yeah.
Because
And
nobody
Ashley
can
Cole,
take this
Ashley
job
Cole's
right
still
now.
here. Ashley Cole came as well. We called all the troops. Ashley
Ashley
Cole.
Cole. Yo, this is why I'm here. I'm here for the vibes, yo. Keep spitting, Clazer.
JT, Ashley Cole, we got the whole team.
Lampard-
All we need is Drogba back
Lampard
too.
has-
You get the whole team together. We're getting the band back together. It's the A team.
I'm missing Mason Mount. I haven't seen Mason Mount for so long. I want to see him play football.
Wait.
Well, just wait a couple of days, you're gonna see him.
Clazer, real quick. Let me say something to Matt real quick because before you joined, we were having a serious one. But to
I
Matt,
want to see. I'm missing Mason Mount.
oh my God, Clazer.
You're gonna see the best mount.
No.
You know what Mason Mount needs to do? He needs to play in that false 11. You know, that false 11 role that we were needing.
No, false 8. Listen, Mason Mount is one of the best false 8. The reason Mason Mount and
the
Timo
false eight,
Werner
tell
did
him.
not work out is because there was a problem with the attack and midfield. Midfield, I don't buy it. People say, oh, J5 was a problem. Now we've got Enzo. We're still not scoring goals. So I think Mason Mount is a good player. I think he deserves a run. He needs a rest. He did a lot of things when he was there for like 2 years with Timo Werner and before Timo Werner. So he deserves a run. I don't even mind if he's a captain because at this moment we don't have anybody, right? So listen, Mount needs to come
Mason
in.
Mount's captain. Clazer. Mason
Lampard
Mount
is
is
not a
captain.
bad. Who?
Mason Mount's the captain. He said in the press conference.
Nah, man.
Okay.
Kepa's captain now.
Kante,
Kepa's gonna be
Kante
captain.
the captain all day.
Yo,
Mason Mount,
Oh, yeah.
Felix,
If you can't, that's fair.
Mason Mount, and somebody Mudryk. I think Mudryk and Ziyech will really be good under Lampard because Lampard is a very attacking minded, and he wasn't that bad. He won something with Derby County. He put us in the 4th place in Champions League. I think the reason of his failure is because when he signed all those players, the Kai Havertz was the guy who wasn't working. Sorry, Jumbo, he wasn't working. Kai Havertz had a problem with everyone.
What about Timo?
And even Lampard said, oh, we've got a young squad, so everybody got pissed off. Like, oh, Havertz not young. Havertz is generational. So it wasn't nice of us. We were really assholes for blaming Lampard because he said Havertz is a young guy. We were being assholes because he introduced Sammy. Sometimes we need to apologize. Right now, he came to us. Because Potter, listen, Potter, I don't know what the fuck was this guy. What did we do to deserve Potter? What did we do to deserve Potter? Like, I used to buy.
And I ask myself every day.
Werner left, Tuchel left. What was our crime? We didn't deserve Potter. Before Potter, I used to watch every football match. I used to watch, normal porn websites. After Potter, my mental health got bad. I'm watching animal porn. Because I'm not interested. I used to buy subscription for Sky WWE, every single fucking subscription on sports. But under Potter, I'm buying Zeus TV subscription. I'm watching Bad Girls Clubs. I'm watching You Baby Love Christian Brock.
This Potter sacking has saved Clash's life.
Clazer, man.
What
It's
did
a
I
blessing.
do?
What are you doing in Australia?
Hold on, wait. Let's
You've been blessed.
hold on, Clazer. Let's bring it back. Hold on, let's bring it back.
Bro,
Potter's been sacked. Wait. Potter's been sacked. Listen, Potter's been sacked. You don't need to watch animal porn anymore. He's gone. We have Lampard.
I gotta go. Our AC Milan in Champions League. Still, what?
What?
Our AC Milan in Champions League.
Yes. What does that have to do with anything?
Because I've got new love for Alexis Salimakers. I think he's one. I'm a more fan of Alexis Salimakers than Timo Werner. By the way, Timo Werner qualified yesterday. He scored yesterday. I think Alexis Salimakers is a future baller. I think we should not sign Liao. We should sign Alexis Salimakers because he can play fullback. He can attack. He can do so many stuff. I gotta go. Take care, guys. I'm gonna be back, bro, because Potter is gone. I was so fucked up with Potter. We didn't deserve Potter. Trust me.
Don't disappear for so long, yeah. Don't disappear for so long, man. You've been gone too long.
Oh my god.
Take care, guys. Listen, now Lampard's gonna play attacking football. We're gonna enjoy. We're gonna be talking about players, bro. We're gonna enjoy. Potter is
We're
gone.
not really gonna enjoy it.
No, mate.
It's
He
all right,
doesn't enjoy anything. Sounds of it.
Guys, we're not gonna enjoy anything.
Nah,
At
he-
least
he enjoys
your
football, mate.
Trust me. Now Lampard has come in. You guys gonna enjoy your football. You're gonna talk about Felix. You're gonna talk about Harvest. You're gonna talk about Mason Mount, Reece James. You're gonna enjoy football rather than talking about Todd Bowley or rather talking about all those outside of the pitch stuff. Now you're gonna enjoy. We are back, guys. We are back. Take care, guys.
Champions League on the way.
Yeah,
And the
we're
Premier
far
League.
from that, but all right.
Nah.
Big up to you, man.
Hold on. Jen, let that shit breathe for like a few seconds. That man,
I need
that
that
man said
sound to
animal
clip
porn,
that.
you know. Animal porn, you know. That's
What's that about?
He's been saved.
Wait, Matt,
Fletcher's
my bad.
been
I almost
saved.
before I forget, because before Klasrov came in with the madness, I did want to address you for real, because I know you're actually pissed off out of everybody on the panel. You're actually the most pissed. Here's what I'm trying to tell you. We have 9 games left, right? I know what you're saying from the mentality standpoint. I know what you're talking about from the club DNA standpoint. What I'm saying to you is this. We're sitting at 11th. 9 games to go, right? We can't get relegated. If we get relegated, fucking separate conversation. There's no way we should be getting relegated. We need 1 point. Now, stepping away from relegation, what do we win these games for? And this is why I'm going to bring up the reason why we should actually lose some of them, even though I would never say that about my club. If you win up to 8th or 7th, we're going to fucking Conference League. None of us here want to go to Conference League. I'll take Europa. I'm not going to sit here and act like Europa, but I'm not going to Conference League because then we have to win the shit. We have to win it all. That is as simple as that. If we go into the Conference League, something we've never been inside before, with this stature of a team, we have to win it all, especially if we put an Enrique or a Nagelsmann in. Secondly,
No, I agree. I would rather.
Wait, let me finish. I'll let you go. Secondly, past that, the only thing left to play for, because that's the league, right, is Champions League football. We're not making 4th. Anyone who's still delusional in your fucking head, get that out of your mind. We're not making 4th. Secondly, we have Real Madrid. Our only other way to the Champions League is to win it all. We have Real Madrid, and everybody has this crazy hard-on because Potter got sacked that you're getting delusional thinking, let's not forget, TT's Chelsea could not go through fucking Real Madrid, and we spanked them at the Bernabeu. Now we have Lampard. So you're telling me, with or without Lampard, this squad's mentality wasn't right to even try to contend against Real Madrid in the Champions League. So let's be real. Either we get through this round and we get knocked out by our semifinal opponents, or we're getting duppied by Real Madrid as we're supposed to. So now the season's gone. We have no trophies to play for. Champions League football is guaranteed not coming to the bridge unless a miracle happens and we win it all. And we've already discussed we don't want to be in the Conference League. That's why I'm telling you, Matt, chill. For the first time as a Chelsea fan, you could just chill. Don't have any expectations. Your expectations should be in the summertime. Motherfucker, they better sell 20 players. They better bring in the proper manager. And they better make sure their signings are correct. And that's
you
all
even
I'm
saying
saying.
that. Matty, like you even considering keeping Potter on is an absolute madness, bro. Like that guy could not have stayed on.
Don,
any
I was the
longer.
first one to have Potter out. I was the first one I got criticised for it when I wanted him day one. So I would not take Potter, but I wouldn't sack Potter for no reason just to bring in Lampard. And to answer Carly's point, Carly, I've known
No reason.
What do you mean no reason?
That and there's no point bringing Lampard. He's not going to improve us any
Wait,
better.
let him land.
Don't
Let
let
him land. Let him land. Let him
Lampard
land.
happened after the
Any
fact.
higher.
Did you feel
We'll
that
see.
Potter had to be
We'll
sacked?
see what he does. But for me, Lampard won't take us any higher.
Don't worry
And to
about
answer
Lampard.
Carly's
Did you
point
feel
here,
that Potter had to be sacked?
Declared absolutely.
Yeah, so then what does it matter? Who comes in afterwards?
Declared 20 minutes ago, you were waffling about how you don't want Lampard. Yeah, I love how it's changed. But anyway, my point is, Declared, you don't suck shit and then replace it with fucking garbage. You don't replace this with Lampard, Potter with Lampard. I'm sorry. My point is, you bring in the long-term manager. Now, if we don't get Nagelsmann in June and we get some random Portuguese guy, and I'm like, I'll sit here and be like, okay, they thought about it. They had to sit down. They really thought about who they wanted to get, and they got him. But if we get Nagelsmann in June, what's the point of waiting? Jem has his speculations about family, doesn't want to join here. He would want to play as soon as possible, Jim. He would want to play as soon as possible.
There's going to be many things, Matty. I already said that to you.
Well, yeah, I don't have time to mention them all, Jim.
Matty, don't you think?
No, but Matty,
guys, the real connection to all of this, right? And this is what Count said earlier, which is really true about what you were saying, is that if we brought in the most random manager as a caretaker till the end of the season, they would have had to they would have to have built relationships, understood the players. They didn't have the time to do that. Frank Lampard's already got relationships with the players that are already there, so it makes sense for them to come back in and continue. But no, they don't.
They hate him.
You're speculating that they hate him. They obviously don't hate him.
Jem,
no, Jem. Even if they do hate him, this is what I'm saying. What Jem brought up is fucking spot on. If something bad were to wait, listen to this, Matty. If something bad were to happen past Potter, say Lampard comes in interim, which we know he's interim, and he does even worse, or God forbid something goes crazy with the squad, Lampard's gonna leave at the end of the season. Imagine if we brought Nagelsmann or Enrique and that was the situation. God forbid that it went tits up, and the squad got mad at Enrique or mad at Nagelsmann. Some of the players don't want to work with him. They think he's not going to give them game time. So now he's going to go into the summertime with all those issues, still trying to make sure we get a proper team and to be cohesive. I'd rather Lampard take the fall, as messed up as that sounds, for the rest of the season. Genuinely. I'd rather let Lampard just helm the ship. Vibes. Listen, if we end up winning the Champions League, super vibes, and that's it.
That's different from the mentality. I'm all about trying to win, trying to get the best. And I've seen, you said about before that the Champions League is over. I've seen that you could have one of the worst teams in Europe but have a world-class manager and win the Champions League. Thomas Tuchel proved to me that you can have a shit
manager. Di Matteo, the most random fucking manager.
But I've said for recent times that this squad, 80% of the squad, won a Champions League because of a world-class manager. And these players are shit. They were garbage in 2021.
Yeah, but you can make an argument for both sides.
We won it because of a world-class manager. So
by prior examples, for both sides.
But I'm saying by prior examples, the best thing to do for me is to get that world-class manager. Now, if you don't want to win if you don't want to win the Champions League, you don't want to win any games, that's fine. That's your mentality. Your mentality is to be mediocre.
Nah, don't do that. Don't do that.
Best possibility you can. You get the most points you can. You get the most wins you can. You get the highest achievements you can. Because when you drop your standards about mediocrity,
it's got nothing to do with standards. It's got nothing to do with standards right now.
Nah, it's about expectations. Genuinely.
Your standard is, I'll take hours for the next 11 games because, you know what, at least Lampard's
the team. You're painting out assumptions that we're going to lose every fucking game, next 9 games, and also not going to do any well in the Champions League.
No, we are not, bro. We're not losing all 9 games.
Jem, you assume we're going to lose under Potter. So you're assuming now, Jem. You're assuming. Of course I'm assuming, Jem. I'm using
of course we're going to lose under Potter. What are you on about? There's more data on that than Lampard.
We want to talk about standards, right?
Not going to get us any better.
Nothing to do with standards. Our standards is always going to...
No, but Jem, this is the point I'm trying to get.
And you dropped your standard when Potter came. I didn't.
No, it isn't.
You dropped your standard when Potter came.
No, because I want to talk about real standards. Listen, I want to talk about real standards. Let's drop all the shit. The real standards are Chelsea should be competing for the Premier League, right? True or untrue, Matt? We're not competing for the Premier League. So, let me bring you back to this point. How are we going to get to competing for the Premier League? What is going to get us there sooner, seeing how the ownership fucked up this year? Let's see. Should we put the world-class manager in, which no matter what happens at the end of the season, it's not even going to increase our progression towards the next season? Or should we just say this season is a dumpster fire, bucket, vibes, summer, fix up, top 4 minimum expectation and a trophy? Because that's what the standards should be. Right now we should 11.
Let me just say this, right? How can we have expectation? Like, listen, right? We can all have our expectations of where we want our club to finish. And for primarily, we've always finished in the Champions League. All right, we've not competed for the top 2, but we've always been in the Champions League, right? This is the first time in a little while that we're not actually in the Champions League now, right? And we've had a real bad season, right? From start to finish under Graham Potter. Our expectations that were at the beginning of the season were for us to push for Champions League. My expectations was not to challenge. It was to stay and fight because I thought we had the squad to do that in the Champions League. Others didn't. Their expectations were, no, we're going to fall out of it. We're not ready for it. This, that, and the other. Fine. Expectations now, right? The issue with the expectations thing, which is why I disagree with you in right now, is that the expectations are based upon the longevity of your season, right? We're talking about 9 games at the end of the season where we've been absolutely battered. Me and Don have gone to games where we've been absolutely shy, and we can clearly see that even though the quality's there, we just don't have the game plan. We don't have the identity. We don't have the style, right? Me saying I don't have expectations because I'm just vibing because Lampard is here. It's not because I don't think that, that we can go up there and be that again and I'm just accepting mediocrity. It's nothing to do with that. It's just understanding that where we are as a club at the moment, and where we are as a club at the moment isn't that club up there. We're just not there. And it doesn't matter if it's Frank Lampard or fucking Sam Allardyce or whoever comes through the door. That's not changing until we get into a summer anyway. So this whole expectation thing doesn't change.
Yeah. And just to add to that as well, Jem, yeah. Matty, with football, right, it's not just played on the pitch. If things are a mess behind closed doors, it's going to show on the pitch. It was clear, like, if, for example, I hate using Arsenal as an example. Yeah, I'm not saying Lampard's going to fix it in the short term, but what I'm saying is it was only going to get worse with Potter. And if we brought in just a random person for 9 games, there's no guarantee that anything would even fix the 5%. But the bare minimum we can say with Frank is that he is Chelsea. He's got the Chelsea DNA. So hopefully he can come in and just give the place a little bit of a lift. That's literally it. Whilst we're waiting to hire the right person going forward. That's what it is right now.
It's just what we've seen the whole season. It's what we've seen the whole season. It's been shit. So why are we going to have such high expectations of what we've seen so far? Come on, let's be serious.
Thank you, Jem.
Again, Jem. That's the difference between mentality. I'm people. That's what you think. That's fine. And I'm sitting here saying, and Don was about the behind the scene room. I'm not going to sit here and say Lampard's going to fix that behind the scene rooms. And I'm saying, great, he's here. I'm saying, great, he's here for 9 games. 9 games is a lot of games, guys. Don't remember, 9 games is a lot of games. But when he comes in this season, and we haven't improved and this is what I'm assuming, we haven't improved. Maybe, I hope I get proven wrong. I don't think we improve. I don't think our squad develops more. And I think players like Mason Mount gets an extension because he's Frank Lampard's bestie. And that's why because double standards will be back. What are you talking Lampard brings double standards.
This could be like a much improved Lampard. He's gone away. He's learned some stuff. Do you know what I mean? He's been through some tough times.
I want to hear Couch's opinion on this genuinely.
Let me just quickly ring in here. What I don't understand, and I think we need to
Frank.
What I don't understand is look, what long-term manager is going to want to come into this situation as of right now? A playing staff of 30 players, guys in and out of form, guys that don't want to be.
Lampard's not going to change that cap.
So what?
Lampard's not going to come and change. What's
they are coming for you in the chat, Matt.
The end of the season. That's the.
Why doesn't the long-term manager come in now then?
Because it's a fucking mess.
Because they don't want to.
Yeah, but
at the end of the season, when we get
Lampard's going to fix that.
Couch,
who's going to fix the mess?
I would have saw it as a positive. They come here, 30 players to look through and go, I might fancy him. And I don't really need him, send him off. And he's just got a whole bunch of players. It's a great situation for a manager. Got all these players to pick from. He's going to have a massive transfer budget. It's a great situation.
They got guys hanging up in the
bench Kappa. Let's start.
They got guys
That is pissed about Kepa.
Playing anymore. When Mount comes and gets a contract extension, double standard.
I don't want. First of all, I don't even want the long-term manager to coming anywhere near this team right now. Clean it up. Get rid of the players that don't want to be here. Give him the playing staff that he wants to work with in the preseason.
That should be the manager. That should be the long-term manager's decision.
Work with a smaller team. not with a bunch of like the dejected players who don't want to be here, who are disrupting the dressing room and whatnot. Get rid of all those players. Let the manager come in with a clean slate. It's not to say that they're not going to.
Don't you want the permanent manager to do that?
Exactly. Don't want the manager to come in and decide who leaves, who doesn't, and don't you want the manager to decide how he structures the club, rather than
guys don't
Lampard?
want to leave regardless of who the manager is. What do you mean?
Yeah,
guys don't want to be here.
The manager could be the deciding factor, Couch, whether they leave or not.
What do you mean?
It's not the players, Potter.
No, but the manager's
So
going to
if a player thinks he's not going to get game time, but the next manager that comes in actually can use that player and says, I want to use you so on like this, and then that could be the deciding factor whether they stay or not. That's usually the factor. Look, if a player hasn't played all season under Potter, of course he's going to want to leave. And if he doesn't see a future in the next manager, then he's going to want to leave still, right? But if he does see a future and the new manager actually considers him, then he stays, and someone else might leave. But but that should be all under the new manager. I don't want Lampard to do that. What's the point of that?
We have directors and a technical staff that are deciding the roster for this team, right? They have a specific style of football that they want to play.
You're right, but
they brought in
the permanent manager should be with that as well, shouldn't it? Like I agree with what you just said.
Yeah, so
but
director
just add one more.
Who comes first, the director or the manager?
The DOF should be coming first, and that's a fact.
Of course.
If that's the case, then Nagelsmann is our manager.
You build the team, and then you hand it over to the manager.
But who's going to build that team?
That's the ideal situation, right?
Who's going to build the team?
You're saying Vivel, basically.
I think it should go hand in hand.
To figure out,
not one way, not extremely one way.
I mean, look at what Pep did. Look what when Tichy and those guys showed up. Look what happened then.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just saying, it's not. There's no one way blueprint to build a team. I'm just saying, the way I see it, I would rather have this whole thing cleaned up first before we go into bringing somebody else into this complete mess. It's not a good situation. I don't know how you guys can look at this situation with 9 games left to play and think that somebody's going to want to come in and manage that right now.
That's what I'm saying.
But I agree with you, Couch. I just don't see how you can't see that if the manager was involved in that too, in that whole process that you're saying, which I agree with. I thought that's benefit. That's what I'd like. I'd like the manager to be part of that process as well.
Okay, so what if they hire the next manager 2 weeks from now, and he's just observing what's happening? That could very easily be the case.
So I would like them to spend the rest of the season observing, testing stuff out, trying different stuff. Right? For me, it's an early preseason, and like I said, they do go on international break.
Situation, but
that's what I'd like over Lampard. But if Lampard comes in, calms everyone down, all right. I'm not mad here.
Coach, I can't lie. I'm not really looking at the job being a big job and it's a mess right now. I'd rather someone. I wanted someone. To
I'm
come
not
in
looking
now.
to someone fix it. Yeah, that's probably my
now to just start preparing for next season, right? But what I do agree.
What is the wait? What's this waiting?
Let me finish, mate. Ideally, I wanted someone in now, but like I said, what I do want is for them not to rush disappointment. We hired Graham Potter 24 hours after sacking an elite manager. Yeah, look how quickly they did that. Within 24 hours, this guy was our new manager. We need to take our time.
You know they had that well beforehand, yeah.
No, but that's the point. Declared they didn't want to sack Potter. That's why we haven't put in the new manager.
I agree.
They wanted to sack Tuchel, and Potter came in 24 hours later.
So I agree. I agree that one more prepared, and I was surprised that they weren't as prepared for this. So it goes to show that they wanted to give Potter till the end and gave in, right? I can understand that, and they need some time. The Lampard thing didn't need to come in. Take your time, find that manager, bring him in, and prepare for next season, like Don was explaining, right? That's what I'm saying, and Coach is saying the same thing. But I just wanted the manager to be part of that process too, and get prepared because. We do have internationals right at the end too, so the new manager gets to miss out. So at least this gives him opportunity to see and start preparing, and players do have to go, so him and the director of football, they can sort that out, right? And we get a head start. We need a good head start because we're so behind. We're such a mess, like you guys said. We need as much. I was saying this a while ago. The season was a write-off for me, right? I wanted the manager to just come in and use it as an extended preseason, not give Potter till the end, because that's what I said. I've already the season just gone. Come in, start the preseason from now. Have a good early preseason so we hit the ground running next season. That's all I want. It's such a mess. I just want a good next season, a good start. That's all.
Yeah, no, that's I don't fault any manager for not wanting to come into the situation though. Like, and I don't fault the board for wanting to take their time to find the right guy, because this next appointment is pretty important.
This next year is massive.
They can take their time. I'm not saying they rush it.
So then what do you do in the interim then?
No, because declared.
There's
Remember, if they get it wrong
easy,
next year, declared. I need to paint you this picture. If they get it wrong next year,
No, Kelly, I'm not saying they're rushing. Take your time, right?
No,
Let's say it takes even a month. At least the next manager gets a month, right? With the current squad, right? It's a mess. The more you delay, the more you delay it, they're gonna do the mess. The mess is gonna happen in the preseason. The more they delay it. Like, I don't think even the technical director can fix it all.
But declared, do you know what? Declared, you know what? We've got Super Frankie Lampard. He knows exactly what we need.
Thiago at the back, Modric in attack.
Chelsea gonna win the Champions League.
One second. Lewis, what are your thoughts on the appointment of Frank Lampard? I've not heard from you since.
Welcome to the trenches, my legend, bruv. Try and steer this sinking ship through the next 11 games. Beat Arsenal away. Other than that, I couldn't give a fuck. It changes absolutely nothing. It'll be gone after 11 games. At least if we're going to be crap, we're going to be crap with a legend in charge and a guy that I don't despise. So it is what it is. I don't know why people are complaining.
That's what I say. You don't see it like Matty does, who thinks like we're dropping our expectations because we're brought
What
in
expectations? What are we expecting to achieve at this point? What are we expecting to achieve at this point in the season?
The Conference League.
Lewis, you want to? Lewis, why don't you go and get that long-term manager now?
Seven, realistically.
Wait, Lewis, I was on the. Lewis, why don't you get that long-term manager now?
Because they don't want to come into this shit show and start poorly up with their first.
Hold on. Wait, Lewis, let me ask Matty a question.
Like a virgin
when I said back in January, I said I remember you on the stream actually. You were on the stream with Declared, right? And when I said about top 4, you laughed, and that was back in January. So why are you expecting anything mad right now? Why are you expecting anything mad right now? When in January, when I said we can still get top 4 as long as we get the right signings and the injuries start to come back, you guys laughed at me. But now you're expecting a lot of.
I don't know what happened, but no, Don. All the thing I'm saying, and I think it's actually more important for the end of the season, because remember, the end of the season's end, and you get straight into the new season. So for me, it's getting a preseason, and I would rather get the most we can. I've said, Don, in the Champions League, I've seen that we can have a bang average squad and have a world class manager, and the world class mentality can get us to win the Champions League. All right, we got Bayern, we got Madrid, but there's always hope in winning that. And I will go for it. And I wouldn't go and as I said, I wouldn't go get a worse manager than Potter. And for me, it's go and get that manager like Nagelsmann, whoever you want, and let them decide who they want. If they want to let Loftus shake out and they dictate, we need a manager come in and make their own decisions. If the board's not going to let that happen, well, that's just a board problem. And I have no hope in this club. So I would want a manager to come in and make their own decision on how they dictate this club. They want 1, 2, and 3 out, 4, 5, 6 in. They dictate who they want as a deal off and who they don't.
What?
They're going to do that in the summer.
But why not now? Why not
start it now?
And exactly, you say it's a mess, but I'm saying I want that manager to come in now and start that mess now.
Maybe he don't want to come in now. I keep saying this.
That's what Jem is saying.
No, wait.
He doesn't want to come in. He wants to
come in. It's the fact that Chelsea don't want to rush their next decision because they cannot make the wrong decision. We've already wasted enough time. This one has to be correct.
I agree.
They're not rushing. Okay, so if you agree,
I agree. But I'm saying, Lewis, I said this before. If we would get some Portuguese guy right in June, I'll see and say, okay, I understand. They took their time. They decided here's what they got. But if we're going to get Nagelsmann in June, what does it make a difference from now to June? And that's what I'm saying. We'll find out in June.
Maybe
we get someone random.
Nagelsmann is actually not available till summer.
Nagelsmann is available now.
Hold on. Matty, wait. I've got a question. Nagelsmann's not the only candidate, okay? Number one, he's not the only candidate. If they're going to properly vet all the candidates, it's going to take some time. It's not about, okay, well, Nagelsmann may be the number one right now, but that may not be the case after they've interviewed this manager, that manager. So
wait, Matty, let me ask you a question. Let me just ask you a question. You've just agreed with Lewis. You just said, right, you agree with the fact that they want to take their time to find the right person, right? And we've established already that.
Super Frank.
Wait, hold on.
Frankie Lampard.
Wait, Lewis, two secs. So you've just agreed with Lewis, right? That we need to buy our time and find the right person to come in, because again, we need the right appointment, right, going forward. Okay. But in the same breath, you're like, why can't we bring someone in now? But like Jems just said, that person that we want to bring in might not want to come in now. But you're like,
Don, here's my point.
Let me finish the question, bro. Let me just finish the question. Your argument is we've brought in Frank Lampard, so why are we sacking shit and bringing in shit again? So my question for you is, in the interim, knowing that we can't bring in the manager that we want in now, let's say Enrique doesn't want to come in now, or Nagelsmann doesn't want to come in now, right? Because they're the two favourites. Who would you have brought in the interim right now? Who would you
said they're not? Enrique came with the whole fucking PowerPoint to Chelsea yesterday. The guy wants to join now.
Yeah, but Enrique might not be their first choice.
Matt, you're going on journalist reports.
And Don, all I'm saying is that
I asked you a simple question.
I said it at the start. I said this at the start of the stream. I didn't agree with Lewis. I didn't agree with Lewis. Lewis is waffling. But I said this at the start.
Sorry,
I said if we go and get some random guy in Portugal, whatever, take your time. That's fine. But then don't come back in June when we have Nagelsmann anyway. And all I'm saying, Don, is I want to improve this team now. I want a manager to come in now and make
get rid of that scarf.
now.
No,
wait for
the
mess to somehow go by itself.
Why do you
Give me Kepa as a manager.
Yeah, why do you have a guy
I don't want Lampard.
Silky
That's
German.
why you need German. It's not what we need. He misses sitters every fucking week.
Oh, go on, come on, sing it with me, Lewis. Come on. Oh, right.
He misses sitters every fucking week.
Why do I know, Jen, you have a Havertz jersey and you don't have a Conte jersey? Why do I know you have a Havertz jersey and not a Conte jersey?
Kelly, chat to him, man. Chat to him.
Brother. Put that Kai Havertz shit away respectfully. That man's gone at the end of the season.
That scarf is everything wrong with this fan base.
I cannot wait.
Burn it. Don't even give
I
it
got
to
you guys.
charity.
Right, hold
They
on.
don't deserve
I'll
it.
bring up the real chat.
Cancer Research UK will give it back.
I love Andy Lewis. It's fun, man. I love it. Woo! Kai Havertz, baby. Woo!
Jem, I got a question for you. Who is more influential in our Champions League? This guy right here or Kai Havertz? You tell me.
There's
you
the
tell me. Who is the reason we won that Champions League? Kai Havertz or this guy right here?
I tell you. It was a double combo of Havertz and Conte.
Hey, N'Golo Kante.
Remember,
Also-
respect your players that win you Champions League football. Remember, look at this.
And respect.
Look at this.
And Jem, respect our players that come out with key blocks like the Danish Maldini, bro. What are you doing?
Danish Maldini.
I didn't come prepared with this, bro.
Lewis, I talk a lot of crap, but Christensen, sometimes I miss him. I'm a legit. I miss him.
Bro, I miss him too, man. I miss him too. What a juggernaut.
Go ahead, man. Big up to you.
And you know what? I'm also not going to miss Kepa when he's on the bench.
He's still here, man. He's still here.
Nothing but that. Nothing but that.
Lampard's going to be too scared to put him on because he might not come off after that. You can't risk that happening.
People cry. I love it. Man.
Have you guys seen about Izzy Brown as well? Izzy Brown having to retire.
Why?
What?
Yeah, he didn't recover from his recent injury.
Oh wow.
What
He
guy?
had to retire. He's 26?
Yeah. I just saw the best comment next to go around. Hey, Matt, someone say get Prime Rose.
You know, Guy, you know, bro. We tell him all
Oh, the
tell
pure
him
creme
all the
they
time.
see, man.
I
Bring me back
Jem,
to this.
respect our players that won us the Champions League, man. What's
He
wrong?
didn't win us it.
Nah, Lewis, you can't say that because Kai has that. Yeah, that will.
And did Christensen not have a game-winning block on Phil Foden in the second half?
That was Rudiger. That was Rudiger.
And Rudiger. You got to
No,
respect.
it was both. He's right. It was both. They both made
Right,
them.
please, we got to respect our guys.
The best. Yes, bro. Keep repping it, bro. Keep
I will
repping
say
it
he's the
against these people.
I will say
Protect
he's
your
the best
players.
on. He's the best on earth at being offside. Top of the
There you go.
offside.
Look, protect your players. Protect
Lewis,
your
I can't lie. Timo was worse, man. So
Yeah,
I let
Timo
that go.
He
Timo was way
yeah,
worse.
Timo, yeah. Jesus.
I wish Werner scored in Porto because we knew we were shit by then anyway. It wouldn't have been a debate on us.
Hey, we gave him what we needed, a Champions League before he left. Is what it is.
Yeah, then the stat had a few trophies and dipped.
What is going on here? They're coming.
You bully your sister? That's horrible, man.
Crampinson needs to focus on blocking.
Like, that's not funny. Why are you guys laughing? That's not funny.
Nah, but Lewis, you got to be real. He used to catch cramps at the most random fucking. He'd be completely healthy. Oh, my pussy hurts.
Bro, do you want to know why? It's because English food just ain't all that. You see how he hasn't had any problems in Spain? English food just ain't it.
I don't know, man. I like your fish and chips. Your fish and chips smacks pretty hard. That's about it.
Yeah, it all depends on your stomach. Maybe you just don't agree with his, but that's why he had to leave.
Fish and
now
chips.
He's having Spanish food.
Bro, you say it like a Kiwi. It's a New Zealander. Fish and chips.
I need to get an Enzo shirt, man. Yeah, go on.
Do you know how Lampard wanted Oba back in 2020?
He did, that's right.
Jesus.
Oh, he heavily wanted Aubameyang back in 2020. So
no.
we
got a striker.
We might be seeing Oba at Wolves.
He also wanted Tarkowski. Was he doing Tarkowski from Burnley and Declan
Yeah,
Rice?
but he didn't get him. He's not Oba now.
Oh, wait. Can I ask Matt one thing? What is your ideal finish to our season? Assume we're getting knocked out the Champions League, then answer that question.
Well, with Lampard, where now? 11,
no,
so
not
12?
your expectations. Your standards. I want your standards. What are your standards for the end of the
club? Is always stock standard top four, minimum, and to win the league. So, but this season you can't do it. But as I said, I would always get to the winning as much as possible. To always try.
Matt, you think we're going to get
hard as you can to win it?
And finish fourth in the Champions
No,
League?
I just want to make sure I understand them when the future comes. So you're just telling me you want them to win as many games as possible, preferably like 7 out of the 9 games.
Yeah, I don't like to take L's. I never like to accept L's.
Well, who does?
I don't like to accept defeat.
None of us do.
Okay. Well, you guys all giving up the season. The season's done. Blah blah blah.
The season is done, my friend.
Lampard isn't gonna improve anymore. And anyway, we'll see.
When Lampard's back as Wolves 3-0 and he stands there and goes like that to the crowd, like, yeah, we're back.
Oh, Jim, you just brought up a mad point. That's going to be so amazing to see because we had like Potter who, I know, just looked like he ate something bad, and then go from Lampard just cheering at fans,
running down the sideline,
just getting emotional. It's going to be great.
One thing you mentioned too.
Hopefully play Enzo in his position, and because he knows
you're hoping too much. You're hoping too much.
We'll get a better Enzo. Watch, better Enzo under Lampard.
Also, Lampard will get an official send-off. We never got to say bye to Fat Frank. We never got to say bye to him as a player or as a coach. So for now, we know everybody that gets to go to the bridge on the last game, say a proper goodbye to Frank. A proper goodbye, yeah?
Yeah, I agree. Also, all I'm going to say is RIP to João Felix as well. But anyway, we move now. I think he's not going to make
double standards.
I'll put a bet on that.
Jem, you're going to eat your words. You're going to eat your words.
He loves Havertz and Mount. He loves them, mate.
You're going to start Mount over Felix. I'm sorry. I see that coming too.
I actually see Felix playing under him doing well.
Jim admits double standards with Fat Frank. That's why I don't like Fat Frank, man. So I don't want him at this club. Ever. Double standards.
He'll play João Felix. He'll obviously play João Felix. But I don't know
also, Matt, for reference, by eye test and by stats, Lampard is a better manager than Potter at Chelsea. I'm just saying at Chelsea.
100%.
Whatever you want to say, whatever you want to do. Literally, nobody is worse than Potter. Maybe Frank Lampard. Maybe AVB, Scolari, Benitez when it was toxic, but he won trophies.
Do you know who will be returning? Guys, do you know who will be returning to the team as well now Lampard's back?
Super outstanding, brilliant performance. My ratings for Hakim Ziyech's performances. 100 out of 10. 100 out of 10.
He hasn't left.
Habibi.
Who's that guy?
Oh, Ziyech.
That's Angry Rat Man. Angry Rat Man. My guy.
And pretty much, where's that? Oh no, I can't because I'll get done on this one. I can't do it. I've got a couple videos.
Hey, Lewis, you think we have any chance in the CL?
Nope.
Let me ask you. All right, I just wanted to check because everybody's being delusional. I just want to make sure you weren't.
Yeah, they're trying to pretend we do now. Lampard's in charge. It's all we've given up our opportunity to fucking beat Madrid. Lol.
Lewis, watch this.
Up in this family, only real ones up in this family. Up in this family, only real ones up in this family. Up in this family, only real ones up in this family. Up in this family, only real ones up in this family.
Why did you show me that?
Why did you torture us like that? Like, what was the actually? Why?
Hey, you know what? You that just reminded me. It would be a great opportunity.
My point is, they made that a year and a half ago when they were beating us in the FA Cup and things like that, and now look where they are now.
Hey, but how great would it be if we were in such a position that we had an influence on the title race? On that,
we do have an influence. Will we do it? Fuck if I know. Probably not. We'll lose 3-1.
I think we would. I think that everyone would turn up. Lampard would be so like there'd be such a great energy and passion about it. Just kind of like what we did to Tottenham. I think it will happen to Arsenal as well. We'll make it the hardest game they ever have to play in that game. If they're in a situation.
In the words of Mourinho,
we don't have to win, but we cannot lose. We cannot lose.
You know what? That's so crucial too. Just the mentality to go into these games, I think, will improve immensely under Frank because he just knows what.
That's the point I was making to Matty.
You know, like it's so important, man. They at least have the right mentality going into the games. You know, like how many times you seen Potter and like they go into halftime and come back out and look shittier than when they.
I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Jem used to take pictures of him just sitting literally in the dugout, hiding in the corner with his assistant coach. Like this shit is sad, bro.
I said it in my fan cam. We just don't look like Chelsea anymore, and that's down to Potter. That's down to that clown.
We literally, when you watch Potter manage, he's hardly ever standing up, and if he is standing up, he's got his arms folded and he just claps. That's it.
Or he's clapping, exactly.
That's what he does.
Always gave everything, man.
Then he whispers to that guy, Billy the kid, whatever his name is, every 2 seconds.
Right. Yeah, let's finish it up. Every single one of you guys, smash the likes. Lampard in charge. We're going to go for the Champions League. Super Frank. Here we go. And yeah. Up the Chelsea.
Super Frank.
Welcome back, Frank.
I didn't even do a Wolves preview. When's that? Saturday, isn't it? Oh, I'm not going to be able to do it. Anyway.
A lot of people are going to be mad at their favorite getting sat. I'm telling you right now, a lot of your favorite players are about to be on the bench.
Have it out.